Good evening. Welcome everybody to some more fantastic Contenders trials here in the EU region. Looking at some very exciting games today, presented as usual by Monkey Bubble. As I mentioned, we do have Old and Bored versus X Oblivione. Very excited for it. For your casting entertainment, Sir Waltham and Dryad. Dryad, what's our read on these teams? How are we feeling about them?
Yeah, well, it's going to be really interesting to see what these two teams have to bring. We're going to start with Old and Bored against X Oblivione. And if you've been following Contenders Trials, everything from the region, you're going to know X Oblivione. They're a really good team. But recently, they've struggled a little bit more in staying in Contenders. They are able to get that first place in Contenders Trials, but when it comes to going against those higher teams, that's when they start struggling. But they should have an easier run here. They had the victory yesterday, and then looking at Old and Bored, yes, it is a team and a name that you don't recognize, but definitely you are going to recognize the players. They had a one. They had a win yesterday. They were doing really good. So it's a matchup where we're not really sure who's going to come up on top, but I would say X Oblivion does have that small advantage looking at the tank lineup that we know them for.
I'll certainly have to tend to agree with you on that one. For those of you at home who said, oh, I caught yesterday's cast, I know what's going on. No, you don't. The map pools change every single day. I'll go ahead and give you a quicker rundown of what we can expect to see here moving forward. We're going to start on Lijiang, of course, those control maps that everybody loves to just roll it out on, and then we'll be moving on to Rialto after that, Hanamura, and then if necessary, Eichenwalde and Oasis, and if we're really lucky and we go to a map 6, then it will be another control map in Ilios, but so far we haven't seen a whole lot of those.
Yeah, we've seen up to 5 maps, and that's even rare. We're not used to seeing it. It usually goes about a 3-1, a 3-0. That's usually what we expect in trials. There's a big difference between the teams, and we always talk about the compositions, how it changes, and how it really affects the compositions, the synergy that teams have going for them. So that's a big part of why some teams struggle a little bit more. But overall, I think this should be much of a closer matchup. They have really good players on both sides, and I think we're going to be seeing a lot of that Soldier. That Tracer that yesterday was so important. I definitely expected to see it again, and that's what's really going to make the difference between who wins and who loses.
I have to be a little bit honest, Dryad. I need these Tracers not to get as many multi-pulse bomb kills as we saw yesterday. My throat is still very sore from all the shouting and screaming I was doing. But we'll just see. I'm sure the teams are definitely going to want to be getting the huge payouts in that aspect. But as you talk about this, you know, we're only in the second day here of Contenders Trials. This is an important day where the teams will start to separate themselves, the good from the weaker. And that's exactly what these teams have to do with the storylines looking quite similar.
Yeah, exactly. We only had a few games yesterday where teams were somehow able to get the victories, but it doesn't mean they're going to stay on top. Maybe they had an easier match for the beginning, and now is where the challenges really are going to come through. That's why I think it's so important to really evaluate this team to make sure that they're having the better understanding of how to get ahead. Which is actually why yesterday we saw the reverse sweep happening. It was just an understanding of knowing how to counter the enemy team, knowing how they're playing and how you can play better and really take the victory. It's so important to see it here, especially because, again, a lot of teams are playing very similar tank lineups, so we're going to be seeing probably that Wrecking Ball and the Diva very often. But when it comes to the DPS lineup, is when we see more variables depending on what everyone feels comfortable with. A lot of people are going with that Sombra, which it's definitely a really strong hero, but doesn't usually work if you don't have that synergy going for your team. That's all to be able to make the call out to get the value out of the EMP. And then we've seen a lot of soldiers that are able to get kills by themselves. The Tracer, like we were talking about, the pulse bomb. So there are so many things to take into account coming into this. And I mean, there's no better way to start this but with Ilios, where there are so many things that teams are going to be able to run. That dive we were talking about is going to be definitely a highlight here. And if we can see a Tracer, I actually love seeing the pulse bombs. I mean, I have to call them, so I definitely.
Yeah, I mean, here's gonna be hoping we are taking it to that Gardens for our first map here on Lijiang. Very excited. Personal favorite of mine. You always see a little bit, oh, you typically, I shouldn't say always, see a little bit of that high flying capability coming out when it's Gardens. More so necessarily than something like Night Market, or especially that Command Center, where, who knows, maybe if we get there, we'll see a little bit of brawl. But so far, it looks like these teams are lining up with those very fast compositions: Tracers, Echoes, Sombras, Divas.
Yeah, definitely. And another difference that we've seen not as often, but definitely enough is that support lineup. That's going to be also really, really interesting to see. Cloud is already starting with the Moira, so that coalescence to initiate. It's going to be much easier to get them their rally usually when you don't have that closure. So definitely we have to keep an eye on that and starting this matchup.
As we can see, initial kills going in favor of Old and Board. Caffey taking down Kara early on means that Lucio's not going to be able to reposition their team as much as they might exactly like, but Oblivione still have to be a little bit careful here. They are on point, but the walls might start closing in around them as they're starting to get swarmed from both sides. D.Va Explorer does get hacked, meaning that Olden Board might be pushed back a little bit here, but instead, it's actually going to be Oblivione who decides to walk off point, close the kill onto the D.Va. So yes, the first point flip does go over to Olden Board, but they're already losing in that manpower capability. They need to maintain this point presence, otherwise they're just going to give over the point as quickly as they got it. Boger trying to get in there, cause a little bit of disruption with the Wrecking Ball. Doesn't do too much as the point flips at 14.
And I really, really like the rotation that we just saw from Oblivione. They knew that they didn't want to lose any members. They wanted to take control of the point as soon as possible. And yeah, they lost 14%. But in the great scale of things, that's not really a big deal. They're about to pass that. And a lot of ultimate abilities that will come up on top for the next fight.
As we look now, fight starting to head away from point. Caffey already has that pulse bomb up, dashes, sees that the Reinhardt drops, doesn't even need to invest that bomb. It's all just going to be clean up right about now for Old and Board. It's going to be Caffey riding onto the Lucio, changing the focus onto the Tracer just a little bit, but there's still a little bit of contest going on this point. Yuki taking down Danye on that Pharah. The big blast damage not going to be coming through, and so far, it looks like Oblivione going to be able to stabilize and hold this point, continue ticking up that progress.
And that ult economy, yeah, even though we see that they don't have any ultimate abilities now, they will be having it in the next few seconds, and that's going to be more than enough to defend Sona. Before, he's had some amazing death blossom. I expect to see this again, and they're going to initiate very early. Do get the pick into the Mercy.
Yeah, Cloud, some high value with that Coalescence, just waiting for that Pharah to drop as well so they can take out the other end of the Pharmacy combo. Not going to find it, however. Cloud just going to go right back to the healing, while the rest of Oblivione try to capitalize on the advantage they have here. No Mercy means no res for the side of Old and Board. Danya has this Rocket Rush intact, waiting for that D.Va, just trying to perhaps wear out the defense matrix. Sana gonna be dropping the Death Blossom, finds one. Not as much can be said for Danye's Rocket Barrage. Sound Barrier does come out from Kara, trying to keep their team up and alive. They need to keep some members on that point, get as much progress as possible. Looks like so far they're even being successful in winning this fight. White Noise taken dangerously low, but the supports are there to bail them out.
Yeah, but 90% already. This is last fight territory. If Olden Board is not able to do anything, and the picks keep coming through, Cloud is going to have the coalescence again. If he can get one more pick, that will be enough to take the sub-map here.
The Nano Boost going out onto Danye, but so far not much being done from the Pharah in the sky. Pulse Bomb going out. Looks like the Wrecking Ball may have saved that soldier for a brief moment, but same can't be said for Cloud as they are now taken down. Fuki trying to duel with the off team here, and now as we can see, Olden Board still trying to maintain some point presence. White Noise gonna get cleared off. Boger barely dodging that pulse bomb, and the flip does go, but they have to be careful. It's at 99 for the opponent.
But really, really good job. Olden Board does take the point at the end of the day, so that's all that they can expect. We did see the Tracer getting the 3 kills at the end, so looking pretty good. They used a lot of ultimate abilities right at the end, but it was more than enough. Now they just have to watch out for the minefield that's going to be creating a lot of space for the side of Oblivione, and that just might take the point for them.
As we see the Coalescence coming out early on with the mines going out from White Noise as well. A big anti-nade coming in from Ding, going to weaken the healing resources that are coming through for Oblivione. Cloud trying to regroup with their team just to keep White Noise up, cannot make it there in time. As we see both Wrecking Balls going down, now it's just going to be a battle of the main lines, the DPS, the supports, and that off tank. You see Sana bring Barrage dangerously low, throws down that healing beacon. Bastola saving one of their teammates from the pulse bomb by eating it, but it might not be enough as the kills are starting to go a little bit more in favor of Olden Board. But as I say that, they're starting to strike back are the team of Oblivione. So far, it's looking pretty even on both ends. Sound Barrier does go out. Barrett's going to be keeping 3 of their team alive with that. Now it's all on the side of Olden Board to try to get some sort of swing back the mines. Going to be an attempt to do that in exactly that fashion. White Noise has to be forced off as the pile driver stops their momentum, keeps them stuck in those mines. And now it looks like this point is so close to being flipped for the side of Old and Board with the boop on the Cloud. But the sound barrier bailing out the side of Oblivione. They really want to maintain this and sustain here as we see Sana trying to have a little bit of a duel with Danye. Danye not quite able to find it, has to go on the retreat, but it so far looks like the point still being held by Olden Board.
Yeah, they're able to take it at the end, but the fight lasted way too long, and it was on the side of Oblivione, so the 99% was still available. Now they just have to clean it up, make sure that they get the point again, but only 64% that we see right now for the side of Oblivione, and kills keep coming for them.
Another eat onto the pulse bomb from Vastola. Gonna be Fuki trying to throw out a pulse bomb of their own, not finding too much with it, but they're maintaining this point presence for Oblivione right on the point, really putting that pressure onto their opponents. In fact, leaning towards another flip, and if nothing else, it will prevent the score for Olden Board to keep moving upwards. Although Oblivione seems to be doing some killing in their own right, not just getting the point progress, also clearing it out and helping to secure this overtime. They do have to contest with the sound barrier coming in from Barrett's Boger. Going to be receiving the good end of that, trying to keep themselves alive, but there's only so much a Wrecking Ball can do. Fuki catches Caffey into the waiting arms of those pulse pistols. With that, overtime is going to tick down, and Gardens goes the way of Oblivione.
A lot of action going on from beginning to end of this map, and it just shows us the level that Olden Board and Oblivione have when going against each other. They're doing everything, and they're playing so well. They knew that they have to keep the point for as long as they can, and that's exactly what we saw when we started seeing this matchup. It seemed like Oblivione had the better rotations, which are so important. But now, after that, after they lost the point, it's like Olden Board had a better understanding of how they wanted to play, and they did so well. Now they have another opportunity to try to make that comeback into Lijiang Tower if they don't want to lose just yet. Seems like we do have a disconnection happening right now from the side of Oblivione, though.
Yeah, it looks like that will be a little bit of a disconnect coming through from one of the players. I believe it's White Noise on that main tank role. Not quite able to get in the game. Not sure if they're having internet issues or whatever the case may be there, but sometimes it happens. You know, sometimes the player's internet just can't handle the high intensity Overwatch that we're seeing today, Drive.
Yeah, and you know, at least you're happy that if the disconnection happens, it doesn't happen in between the match, where it puts a little bit more risk into what your team is going to do. So we have to see, but I mean, overall, talking about these two teams going against each other, that's why we were saying that it was going to be close. You can see the tank line always trying to jump into the back line, trying to get some value, trying to get some picks, but it's definitely not easy. Cloud, as we've seen, as a very aggressive player, a very aggressive Moira, and he's able to get value out of this. So that's so important because this team is enabling him to do so. And on the other side, when we have an Ana difference, that's when you start seeing what's going to happen into the heals and how they're able to come through.
And a risky composition coming out here from Oblivione, Cloud and Kara. Kara gonna have to stay very close to Cloud, but puts them in a little bit more of a vulnerable position, as we saw many times yesterday, too, things like the Tracer Pulse bombs coming through. But now Olden Board gonna be rolling in with that Farah. Danye trying to get some benefit early on, not finding a whole lot, admittedly. Now Oblivione just waiting their time out, trying to get the positioning from the outer courtyard, and Cloud taking down Danye early on. A great opportunity here, at least forces Barrett's back on that Mercy, buys quite a bit of space, even if the kill is not permanent. White Noise taking quite a beating, but has those adaptive shields to keep themselves up and online as long as possible. And so far, despite the minimal healing, White Noise actually getting the double boink off the map. Going to be sending them through the pits with the grappling hook, and Oblivione so far looking very good for this. Barretts goes down, Danye goes down next, and it's all just going to be the cleanup of Bogger, trying to get out, trying to get away, find the company of their team, and with that, it's all going to go start ticking up in favor of Oblivione.
And just like that, White Noise is able to get 5 kills right at the end, doing so good. I almost have the 9 kill that's going to be so important, and I absolutely love their rotations that Oblivione does at the beginning. They don't play too fast because they know they're going to get picked. They play this very careful and are able to take the point. Now 35% for them. They're playing a little bit risky. We know that Cloud is aggressive, but hasn't been punished for it, so can keep doing so.
The Divas on top of the pulse bombs. They heard what we were saying. They want to make sure that they mitigate it as much as possible. Another eat. Caffey instead getting punished for that. A little bit of the hubris coming through there. Kara getting them with the shield bash, the whip down, and now Explorers the next to be punished. The Transcendent's going to come out from Cloud just to keep their team alive and really get into the mix here. You can see White Noise trying to lead the charge with that Wrecking Ball, pushing them all the way back to spawn. They're not going to go and quite touch it just yet, but still very assertive, Dryad.
a lot of dominance that we see from this team. Now Fuki is going to have, once again, that tactical visor ready to be used. That's going to push everyone away. And if that wasn't enough, Kyra is going to have that ultimate ability, that rally that's going to come through. So more than enough for them to keep holding, and it's 80%. So this is 1 or 2 fights that we're going to be seeing from Old and Board.
But this time, the initiation starts off well for the favor of Old and Board. They take down Sana. That Tracer no longer a threat, but Vogger going to be taken down in a similar fashion. Pile drives right into the middle of point and just able to get focused down. Yuki going to be thrown in the tac visor, just trying to put any damage they can. If Donye's in the air, they have to be very careful. As the shots go through, doesn't land a whole lot, but still the zoning coming out from these ultimates for Oblivione, the Diva Bomb going in the tac visor as well. Wrecking Ball trying to do something, but it only takes down a Cloud. The whip shot coming in. A lot of environmental kills going in right on these cliff sides, but seems like it's all going to favor Oblivione despite a brief flip.
And it's the same thing that we saw on the last map, where we saw Old and Board trying to take control of the point, but it was unfortunately just way too late. Now Oblivione takes a victory here. They are looking pretty good, pretty dominant. Old and Board, I know they don't want to give up just yet. They have a lot of opportunities, and it seems like they do have the right idea. But the main thing is that Oblivione has insane initiations and rotations, and that's just making the entire difference.
Do you think, Dryad, that we saw a support difference? That was kind of highlighted when we went into Night Market. It was the Zen Brig versus the, I believe it was Ana Mercy, something along those lines. Do you think that played a huge effect into the value that the Wrecking Balls could get with the Discord Orb, with the bashes versus not having those things?
Definitely, the Discord Orb is so important. That's why teams always discuss having a Zenyatta in their team, because just having that to be able to counter those tanks like Wrecking Ball and even a Roadhog is so strong that it's something that you definitely can't ignore, and it allows your team to once again get value out of it. Sometimes it gets a little bit harder and you want to play just to protect your team to get more heals, but in this case, as where teams feel comfortable with their Zenyatta gameplay, you are able to do this, and it's definitely making a difference here.
I certainly have to agree. It does make them a little bit more vulnerable, but it doesn't quite seem like Old and Board is able to capitalize upon that. We're not seeing the Zenyatta go down as much as you might expect. We see it a couple times with the grappling hooks, but even still then, relative safety coming through, and that's kind of the best way to be if you're one of those flex support players.
Yeah, exactly. One of my favorite things to see is the different playstyles that you can see from flex supports. There's all kinds of aggression and how much you want to play. You can look at Zenyatta, you can look at Baptiste. Some players have to be really aggressive. We see them on the flanks, and they get value out of it, which is the most amazing thing. And some others decide to play a little bit more careful, just decide to play for heals. A very good example for this would be looking at how players like to play Baptiste. Some want to be a little bit more careful, have more heals for the team, while others just try to get the picks. And that's where you start seeing the difference in how the rest of the team is able to surround themselves around that and get value out of it.
As we see now, the gates are opening onto the streets of Rialto. No time for stall here. We're just going to be moving straight on. Oblivione, starting off on this attack, will be moving the cart pretty steadily. Yuki on this Widowmaker, just trying to prevent that immediate threat from on high, making it a little bit dangerous for anybody to peek their head out. Will be met with the Sigma shield. Otherwise, not too much friction going on there. We do see the Torbjorn coming out from the defensive side. Danye perhaps trying to just lock down multiple angles with that turret. And initially, these kills are going in favor of Old and Board. Boger, we take it down White Noise without that main shield. A huge benefit here for the defending team. Doesn't look like they're going to push the advantage too much. A little bit wise considering how close they are to their opponent's spawn.
Yeah, they're going to be playing this very careful, and I actually like seeing this. They know they don't want to get picked, or holding that first point is not going to be easy. So very interesting, but in the meantime, once again, really good positioning that we see from the side of Oblivione, taking the high ground on the Sigma. Here that we haven't seen that often, but definitely getting value here.
Caffey going to be finding another kill onto Cloud. Oblivione so far looking a little bit worse for wear, especially with White Noise falling once again, but it is traded back for Boger. Old and Board, happy to let these pushes be kind of slow, be a little bit more lengthy in time. It's just going to drain their opponent's time bank. They're going to be more than fine with that. Already not a lot of space given up. We see Explorer trying to creep around, trying to scout out anybody who might be starting to swarm their team. Old and Board not looking too shaken by a swarm this time.
Caffey just getting those kills. McCree is another hero that we definitely haven't seen as much as we would want to, but he's getting the value out of it. They have so much damage coming through from this team, not to mention the double shield that's allowing them to hold this close. And I really, really like seeing this. This is going to bring more questions for Oblivione. How do they want to engage here?
It's going to be Caffey trying to get some value with the high nude. Doesn't save it for Sana. Instead, just tries to use it to zone out the opposing, the rest of the opposing team a little bit more. Not going to be finding too much, but the duplicate is available for Sana. The question is, can they get it off? They, in fact, do. They're going to be trying to get that gravitic flux coming through here. They get the double kill off the back end. Might not even need the flux based off of that. They're going to throw it in for good measure. Get stunned out by the McCree, but the damage may have already been done. Oblivione got the push they needed, and now going to keep moving that cart.
Like you mentioned, it seems like they didn't even need to use that flux, but they're able to push forward. Now they're going to, you know, press W, try to get the point here. They should be able to do so. Bards does have that rally, though, if they want to try to engage again, which seems like it's what's going to happen.
You do see Oldenborg trying to push ahead, meet them at that first tick. You see that Danye does have the Molten Core up and available. The question is, how do they decide to use it? How does Oldenborg decide to initiate with it? They're going to throw it right at the nose of the cart, but the Transcendence coming through means that Cloud's going to be able to protect most of their team from that high damage coming in. Sana trying to duel it out with the Tracer, but the Tracer retreats into the relative safety of the liquid hot magma. As now we see Oblivione still slowly getting these kills. They're slowly finding the value, but Sana going down removes a lot of that aerial threat for the side of Oldenborg. They may have just needed that for the reinforcement here. Bob does come out, take it down rather quickly, but still looking very thin on numbers for the side of Oldenborg. They continue losing their members, and although they are holding this cart for quite a long time, it's only a matter of time, it seems, if Oblivione can really start to put one foot in front of the other. Although it looks like they're giving their opponents time to regroup. They're being forced to give them the opportunity for that advantage here. Sana has the duplicate up once again, takes down Caffey. We'll see if this card continues to move, Dryad.
And this is just really, really close. They don't have any time left. They have to make something happen. This might be a mistake, but Oblivione wants to play more aggressive here.
The duplicate goes in, but doesn't find too much. Immediately taken out of it by a headshot from Danye. Danye traded back in quicker fashion by a couple of headshots of their own from Cloud. Now, Oblivione still trying to find this benefit here. The Ash from Fuki really trying to put the pain on the Brig, throws in some dynamite as well, making sure that that Brig can't use the corners for cover. And finally, Oblivione starting to tear this team away. Respawns are going to get more and more painful, especially as they get more and more spaced out like this. Eventually, that first point is achieved.
And they're able to do this finally, but once again, it was a very, very risky play because they had enough time to have two fights where the entire team was there. They were able to regroup, but they decided to stay then. They were getting picked over and over again. It was at the end that everyone was kind of able to stay together. They will be pushing forward here, but they know they don't have that much time left, 2 minutes remaining. That should be enough for them to win. And once again, taking stairs is the best step to try to win here.
Not a lot of time, but a whole heap of ultimates coming on a line. Almost the entire team having that board full. As we see Oblivione once again trying to maintain this high ground. Bob going to be sent right down the middle, just like a giant linebacker, causing a bunch of damage, charging in wherever is needed. Cloud and Kara both going to be activating their support ultimates, layering them. Cloud feeling the need for that as the Sigma Gravitic Flux comes through, trying to respond with it. And now it's the Flux coming in from Vestola, but a big return kill coming in from the side of Oldenborg. We're still seeing the double kills. It never ends. Caffey throwing in the pulse bomb, finding some value with it, but it's not going to quite be enough as Oldenborg has to take a little bit of a knee, do a soft reset, allow themselves to get recollected here as Danye trying to provide some covering fire for Boger, trying to put some pressure onto Sana in the air as well. And now we see Oldenborg deciding to push up onto that cart as it gets closer and closer to that second tick. This might be another very long point hold, Dryad.
Yeah, it seems like that's what's going to happen. Caffey's definitely making the difference, and just like that, the DPS lineup along with Ding are able to take control of the point again. The pillar will be moving back. 50 seconds remaining for Oblivione to have something happen. They are struggling a lot on this map. They have to make a difference. They have to try to contest the high ground if they want to win. Once again, they don't have much time left, especially taking into account the Bears does have that rally to keep everyone alive and play a little bit more aggressive.
It's exactly how Oldenborg opt into using the two ultimates they still have online. They can hold it here and put themselves in a pretty good spot for their attacking phase. They go up to meet Oblivione on that high ground. The Halt not going to quite be yanking as many people off that high ground as perhaps Oldenborg would have liked. We're now going to be seeing the rally come out from Bears trying to keep their team alive, and with Kara going down early, it's a great opportunity here. The attack visor comes out, and it looks like it's going to do its job, taking down Asana. 5 seconds left. Doesn't look like anybody can touch. Alone Zenyatta is the closest thing they have. Not going to be close enough, however, as this is where round 1 ends. A pretty good showing so far for Oldenborg.
Oldenborg are bringing it back. They were looking so good in the defense. I like seeing the picks that they were doing. They had a reset, they had a Sigma, and just like that, they were able to take space. We need to recognize they were doing an amazing job. Also, thanks to the DPS lineup always getting kills. We were talking about Kathy getting that double kill, and it seemed like it was going for the side of Oblivion at that point. Like they were going to get that second part of the map. But no, Kathy comes, gets 2 kills, and just like that, Danji comes after, takes control of the point, and we know also Danji is really, really good. So we just need to highlight these players that are definitely making a difference here from the side of Oblivione. Yeah, they were looking very good at Legion Tower. They had the understanding of how to make their rotation and have to win the points, which is the main thing that you want to see on control maps. But when it comes to maps like Rialto, it's more than the positioning, it's more of the aggression that you want to see, the composition, and how important it is. White Noise is really good at creating space, but we didn't see it happening as often as we wanted to when they were attacking. So I want to see this more from this player, from Vasola. We see already on the Sigma, so they have to play this very, very carefully, make sure that they're not getting picked by Oldenborg, or this is going to be over for them.
And I mean, more to your point here, Dryad, Oldenborg made it to where it only felt like there were 3 team fights throughout that entire round. Very good at kind of allocating that time, really draining as much off the clock as they could with that duo aggression. However, now it's going to be Oblivione's turn to go up to chalk on this defense to see what kind of benefit they can get. Fuki holding that high ground with their Sigma, trying to rain down any shots, but decides to back off, temper their aggression perhaps just a little bit here. Not too uncommon, as we see Kathy take a big rocket from Fuki, who just blind fires and runs away. Gonna be forcing that Tracer to back off just a little bit, but doesn't necessarily stop the cart from moving. It does turn that first corner. Both teams just kind of vying for their position now. Oblivione backing up, putting a lot of their team on this secondary high ground over in this archway. Makes it a little bit more vulnerable. It allows the cart, however, to roll into a more vulnerable position where you don't have to worry about as many angles coming through from the attacking team. However, it does come at that risk of that potential one-fight scenario. Losing that one fight might cost it for you here. And immediately it's that Tracer Sauna caught out Explorer, able to hit him with those kinetic orbs. Throw it in. Oldenborg, though, almost get the cart delivered all the way to first, and it's going to be the point now where the side of Oblivione have to start having some sort of point presence. This cannot get as far as they need it to. It's going to be Boger trying to go in onto the Sigma, taking down Vestola. The Zenyatta, rather, going to be the next one to go down. And with this, numbers are looking very slim for Oblivione. It's all just going to be the Tracer and the Wrecking Ball to be cleaned up. That was a quick first point for the side of Oldenborg.
5 minutes remaining, so yeah, like you mentioned, they will be pushing forward, and they don't even need to get to that second point, that second part of the map. They just have to push forward, win the stairs fight. That is so important, and just like that, they will be allowed to take the victory. This is a very risky situation for Oblivion, and they do have some ultimate abilities, but they can't use them all at once, or that's going to affect them. I do like this initiation for them, though.
White Noise going to be taking down Kathy. A couple of headshots from those twin cannon coming through on the Wrecking Ball. Then just looking to raise hell in the opposing team. Pulse Bomb tries to come out from Sana, but responded to by the Transcendence from Ding. Keeps everybody alive and keeps, most importantly, themselves alive. White Noise caught a little bit too much in the mix. Going to be taken down, not able to receive the benefit from Cloud's Transcendence. And such a weird fight for this alleyway to be holding, but Cloud coming through big, helping their team secure a lot of those kills.
But in the meantime, the payload was moving a little bit, so now more pressure that you're going to have to make sure that you win every single fight. You do have, once again, ultimates that are going to allow you to create space, like Fuki's Tactical Visor. They just might not be enough. They have to play this very, very carefully. They're doing so, but still 3 minutes, 50 seconds remaining for them.
Explorer throws in the Gravitic Flux, tries to lock down the opposing Oblivione. Now it's going to be the attack visor coming in from Danye, taking down Vestola. Again, that shielding capability gone. Now for both sides, Explorer soon to follow their opponent in similar fashion. See Danye trying to rotate here, go out through the high ground, but runs right into Fuki with that attack visor. Has to play very careful with these lines of sight, but gets pushed upon by White Noise. Rest of the team looking to help out that soldier and Kara, coming in to close the kills. Supports all over the place getting kills today, Dryad.
Yeah, first we saw Cloud getting that 3k at the end of that last fight. Now we see Kara. Both of them definitely doing a really, really good job. 71% for Transcendence, again, to make sure everyone's staying alive. That's the main thing that you want if you are on the side of the defense right now. And a lot of time that has been consumed, 2 minutes, that where we saw Oldenborg not being able to do much, but now they have to build those ultimates and make sure they can get value of it out of it. But Oblivione definitely putting up a fight.
Explorer going to be taken down rather early. Fuki putting on a masterclass right now on this soldier, delivering the 3 kills. Oblivione pretty much gutted their opposing team, but Fuki gets taken down a little bit of a upside for the side of Oldenborg.
And the confidence is slowly building up for the side of Oblivione, knowing that they can actually hold this defense, which is not easy at all, but they're doing their job. They're not using too many ultimate abilities at once, and that's what's keeping them alive. They just have to play this very carefully. They don't want Cloud to get taken down or force that Transcendence, because they won't be used for things like that flux that will be coming for Explorer at some point, where you want to have that Transcendence coming through, making sure everyone's staying alive.
Early on, Danye taken down. Ding throws in the Transcendence, but it's not quite enough. However, the numbers get equalized a little bit with Sana going down. Cloud holding on to this Transcendence has it to keep in a pinch. Once again, this fight continued to take place in this little alleyway, such a confined area. Vistola making sure that nobody can receive any healing if your healers are dead. Shoring up the kill with Kathy as well. Oblivione continuing to look good.
And that's just the power of holding this high ground. It's so important. It seems like some teams don't really realize that they want to play closer to the payload, but when you look at it, the payload has been moving back in the meantime, so this is looking really, really good for the side of Oblivion. And they still have a few fights left, though, so they have to still play very, very aggressive, especially initiating with that rally if they want to drop 2 points.
It's crucial here that Oldenborg don't suffer any early losses, and as I say that, Ding goes down Danya. I guess it's not early losses, it's just everybody dying at the same time very quickly. I don't know exactly that's the same thing, but either way, Oblivione still just getting the kills they need.
Yeah, they're playing this very, very good, and now only 1 minute remaining. We see Oldenborg has to make something happen, but they have the ultimate economy to do so. So this is very good for them. If they can initiate very early on with the rally, then push with the tactical blaster, that should be enough to get a few picks and then take the victory.
Be up to Explorer to keep their team alive, but Ding can't survive a pulse bomb just like that. It's gonna have to be a quick regroup from Oldenborg. You don't want to go in without that Zenyatta, especially when the threat of white noise is always looming.
Danjay getting the first pick is a little bit risky, but we know Tracer is very, very fast now. Once again, tactical blaster will be used. They're pushing into his last fight.
We do see this last fight territory coming to fruition. Cloud sees the weakness in their teammates, tries to pop the Transcendence to respond, but can't quite save them. Explore too quick on the trigger, able to throw in those orbs. Now going to be initiating with the Gravity Flux. Locking down the Tracer, doesn't quite have the follow-up. Instead, the Rewind will be there. The Accretion almost giving that Tracer a haircut there. As we see Oldenborg now looking with the point on the horizon. It is so close. White Noise able to get the pile driver out, doesn't get punished too aggressively, receives a mass amount of healing, does eventually close onto Kathy as well. Both Tracers now out of this fight, might go a little bit slower from the basis of that. White Noise throwing in the minefield as well. Fuki just staying in the back, in the cut, trying to land these shots with the Widowmaker. Has to be playing a little bit far off, puts the cart at a little bit more vulnerability, but there's only so much that Oldenborg can do to respond to that. Stolik trying to catch out the main tank in Explorer, but doesn't quite find a whole lot. It's looking at bare numbers for both of these teams, the Wrecking Ball and the Tracer, trying to get rid of that Widowmaker. They do, but just as I say that, White Noise going to be able to tag in pile drive, keep this point alive for the briefest of moments. Lucio going to get torn off the cart as well, and with that, Oldenborg tying it up. Now we have a series.
And that was really, really interesting to see. Oldenborg was looking really good into first point. Then they were struggling a little bit more. So now that's where we start seeing the difference. They are able to take the victory here. But very, very important to point out how Oblivione definitely were holding that defense for so long, 4 minutes, where they knew exactly what to do.
Yeah, it was looking very excellent there for a moment for the side of Oblivione. I really liked that high ground positioning. It put Oldenborg in such a tough spot, but once Oldenborg finally cracked the nut, they were able to get in there and really just feast upon the sweet victory of getting that cart to that second point.
Yeah, and it just seemed like both of them had really good ways to hold the defense. But when they were attacking, they had the right idea, but they really didn't know how to engage, especially coming into the high ground. And in Rialto, it's so risky when you're walking past. It just puts a lot of pressure into you getting picked if you're not careful, if you're not behind a shield. That's exactly what was happening over and over again. But at the end of the day, we did see Olden Board take the victory. It took them a lot of time, but at the end, when you can get that 1-1 matchup, that's all that you want.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, aside from what the teams want, I'm a selfish person. It's exactly what I want. I love seeing as much Overwatch as I can get in a day, Dryad, and to hear that this is at least going to go 4 maps, I'm more than happy with that. But Hanamura going to be next up on the board. We're going to be seeing a little bit of the side swap coming through here. So if I'm not mistaken, it will be Olden Board now starting off on the attack.
Yeah, they're going to be starting to attack, and I really like seeing this map just because, once again, it's so important to have a really good defense. If you have a really good defense, that's all you need to win here. And it sounds easy, but it's just one of the hardest maps for any teams. And that's why it puts so much pressure into making sure the tanks are creating space. There's not a lot of room to push in, especially when there's so much damage coming in from the defenders. So once you're able to do this, and I expect to see this from White Nose and from Bover, just creating a lot of space, making sure that they're able to get a few picks and push everyone to the point, as all they should be needing to win. And we do also need to highlight, well, like we mentioned before, the support lineup for both sides, having Cloud and Kara, having Ding and Barretts, also ensuring that this team is playing aggressive is essential for this point, especially in an attack, to take the victory. Once you're able to build a rally, you know the enemy team is going to be a little bit more scared. They're going to back up a little bit more because they know how strong this ability is.
That's certainly quite true, as now we look at the mirror compositions that seem to be coming out from both sides. We know what Oblivione is rolling out with, but the question will be, does Olden Board stick to what they have now? See them kind of poking at that mid choke, trying to just find some sort of opening here, and it's going to be the Tracer and Wrecking Ball who immediately break through. The Stola trying to catch the rest of the team out here as they start to rotate towards this high ground. A dangerous position if Oblivione allows their opponents to get there and really take advantage. You do see the Wrecking Ball up there, Boger. Try to throw in a couple of shots, build up those mines as quick as possible, but the Stola still just peppering away, putting in that consistent pressure and damage, both to the Sigma shield, the Brig shield, and the health pools in general. Boger has to take a little bit of a backup, but goes into the waiting safety of their team. Both teams just content to take a very long fight here, Dryad, and so far, again, it always pays off for the defending team.
That's exactly what I was going to say. The longer it goes, the more the defenders are going to be benefited. But the rotation that we see from the side of the attackers is not bad at all. I actually really like seeing this. They just have to make sure that the support lineup is not getting picked, which is the strategy that Olden Board is always going for.
And we can see White Noise forcing out the rewind from Caffey, who has to avoid getting thrown off the cliff. But initially, Oblivione finally start to find the benefit they need here. Fuki delivering in a massive amount here, throwing 2 kills their way. Being very careful to not get taken down by the Wrecking Ball. Instead, in fact, it will be the Soldier who does a little bit of killing. Caffey throws in the Pulse Bomb, but not quite needed. It looked like that fight was already secured for the defense.
Yeah, and out of all of the ultimate abilities that we can see in the game, at least the Pulse Bomb is not too bad. Sometimes it hits, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it's a little bit more aggressive. There are so many opportunities, but luckily for the Tracer is able to build it so fast that it gives more opportunities to try to take the victory here. Like now.
Oh, and Boger able to just barely walk away, gets the health pack, but will they be able to regroup with their team? They will. Amazing play coming through there. However, Ding not going to be able to be as safe. White Noise trying to get away, taking a ride through the skylines of Hanamura, getting shot down by Danye, shooting the globe as it seems sometimes. And Olden Board, for a brief moment, will have the opportunity to get in there without their opposing Wrecking Ball, but may not be able to take advantage of that with Caffey going down early. They're going to certainly try, though, as now they push through that choke. The Kinetic Grasp coming out from the side of Vistola, just trying to mitigate any damage. It's going to be the response from the Tac Visor by Danye, and then another Tac Visor coming out from Fuki. Aimbots are starting to battle it out on this corner of point. Fuki getting pile driven right by Boger. Not too bothered by it, considering that the burn down is real coming out from the side of Oblivione. And right now, they're not letting up. They're not giving up any sort of space on this defense. They're holding these corners. And now Old and Board taking the opposite ends of the point. We do see the minefield coming out from White Noise, making it a little bit more threatening, a little bit longer of a push in towards that point. White Noise going to retreat into the relative safety of the minefield. At least they would have if Danya didn't have anything to say about it.
And they are able to get the picks now. They will be able to get at least a few ticks. And it seems like for the side of Oblivione, they want to try to have the recontest, but it's not going to be easy. They might just have to give it up. But under a minute for first point is ideal situation. Once again, Hanamura, not an easy map. And the best thing that you can do now is try to figure out how to hold the defense into second point. They do have the ultimate economy to do so. That Flux is going to come through for Vestola, which is going to be so important. In the meantime, they have to make sure that Kara is able to build that rally, making sure that she's very close to those corners are going to enable Break to get the value that the hero has.
Absolutely, and as we look ahead, this pulse bomb coming in from Cappy, not netting a whole lot of value there. Explorer going to be trying to throw the accretion rock right down the hallway, not able to find much with that either. And instead, it will be the side of Oblivione who got the first kill. Boger taken down, caught a little bit out as Wrecking Balls tend to be in this meta. And Oldenborg going to have to peel back for a moment, just allow themselves to get that regroup, get their main tank back in, and hopefully get that displacement going right this time around.
2 minutes and 40 seconds remaining for the side of Oldenborg to have something happen here, and Danji does have the tactical visor, but he gets taken down right away, so they have to wait a few more seconds before they're able to do something. That is a point where you have to regroup, work for the rest of the team, but they did get a 1 tick though.
Now, very fortunate on that 1 tick. We see Vistola still trying to hold down this high ground, but feels a little bit unnecessary. Not too much threat right there.
And once again, for the side of White Noise, he has done an amazing job so far on creating space and pushing everyone from the high ground, which is exactly what we want to see from this tank. And it's very, very risky because you can get stunned, you can get killed, they throw a disc over at you. But once again, just being very careful, that's exactly what's going on. The fight is taking place in the low run just because of that. Just running, being very aggressive, being distraction, like Wrecking Ball is supposed to do.
Gavik throws out another pulse bomb, doesn't find it, was trying to prevent Kara from getting that rally off now. Gonna be the tactical visor coming in from Danye. The question is, will it find its benefit? Vistola getting taken down by accretion and fire from the tac visor. Danye throwing down the beacon, doesn't quite get the healing from it, and now Fuki has the high ground. It's a little bit of the soldier trade-off here as we see the 3K coming in from the tac visor. The rest of the team of Oblivione sure to clean up.
This is why we like seeing Soldier 76 being played out. Absolutely amazing performance, and when you have the tactical visor, just so hard. All the enemy team can do is hide and hope for the best. But, you know, that speed also is just enabling them to play so well. We're going to be seeing one of them taking the high ground for this side of Oblivione. They're playing this really well. Only 1 minute remaining for the side of Oldenborg to make something happen. They already have 1 tick, but they have to get more.
They certainly do. They were so close to that second tick, not quite able to deliver though. And Oblivione is going to be delivering a couple orbs of destruction right to the body of Caffey. You're looking so far so good for them as White Noise continues to chase, sees the soldier out in no man's land, but the Wrecking Ball has other plans to keep them away. Sana, however, hand delivers a nice little pulse bomb to keep the team in the fight. Oblivione now looking very good, pushing back the side of Oldenborg, who need to take one more regroup.
30 seconds remaining. Like you mentioned, one last fight territory for the attackers to try to get some value, try to get some picks right at the beginning, but it's not looking easy for them. They have to build some more ultimates if they want to have the confidence. White Noise on this side, on the high ground, is going to have the minefield creating a lot of space like we see right now on the high ground, pushing everyone down.
Barrett throws in the rally, and now Ding able to deliver a kill of their own onto Vistola. And now this is a good opportunity for the side of Oldenborg. They have that man advantage, and they have to be playing very careful with that Wrecking Ball on the field. The Brig getting taken down. Danye taking advantage of the fact that Kara turns just to focus the Tracer. Transcendence does come down from a cloud, trying to mitigate a lot of those mines, as well as keep their teams healed up as much as possible. Now we're going to be seeing the attack visor from Danye, trying to get this damage onto the Tracer. Just maintains that high ground presence already. Second tick has been achieved for this attacking team, but it looks like they may not be able to keep their fuel in the engine, as now Oblivione coming back with a strong force of manpower, able to push everybody back. They don't give up that second point.
but we're not able to touch at the end, and that just made the whole difference. Now it means that one of these two teams will be taking the victory here in Hanamura. There are not going to be any ties. Someone has to win here, and it could be any of them from the side of Oblivione. They had a really good defense. They once again they struggle a little bit, but the rotations, it's what makes the biggest difference between them and Olden Board. Where what qualifies all on board and why they are here is because they're really good at playing aggressive, getting those picks, having a really good DPS lineup with Danje, with Coffee, always getting picks, Danje on Soldier, Coffee on Tracer, constantly disrupting the backline from the side of Oblivione. But Oblivione likes to play more together, and just like that, they're able to stay alive over and over again, especially on the defense. Now I want to see what they have to bring to the table on this attacking side. I want to see a little bit more aggression for them, because both of these teams are lacking what the other one has, and that is why it's so even right now. Cloud, if he's able to also get a few picks right at the beginning, that would allow them to hold more space, to create more space along the side of White Noise.
As we look ahead, compositions once again looking very similar. That sim might just be for a quick get up, get out, but we see Bogger creeping up in the wings, ready for the pile driver, build up those mines as quick as possible. The gates do drop open. It is going to be Sana sticking on the sim for at least a moment, as we now see the rest of the team of Oblivione trying to push ahead. The teleporter coming online, but Sana going to get scouted out pretty immediately. Going to be going back to point, just giving their team that high ground advantage. They'll perhaps be switching back onto the Tracer, trying to find some more damage with those rapid fire pistols. But already Oblivione very close to this point, bypass that deadly choke that can cause so many players struggle. And Explorer getting stunned out of that kinetic grasp. It means that they're not going to have the opportunity here to mitigate a lot of damage. Cloud takes down Danye, and now Oblivione looking very strong here. Didn't even really need that Tracer too much in the engagement, as we can tell by that ultimate charge. Oblivione continuing to have point presence and really putting the threat here, and it may have been the Wrecking Ball grapple that actually saved Explorer from eating an accretion, but not going to save them from the grave, as Oblivione continues to get dominating kills in this matchup. The Brig is going to be the last bastion of hope on point, but not so much she can do here. The Tracer just the last one to fall, as Caffey will be meeting their team at spawn.
And it happened exactly how we wanted it to. So we saw Cloud in those two initial picks, allowing also White Noise to be creating a lot of space, making sure that the Zenyatta is staying alive, and just like that, they're able to take first point. Now they have a lot of time, 5 minutes, 30 seconds remaining to try to trade tech, and they want to build ultimates to try to push here.
Going to be hard to build ultimates, at least for Sana, when the Tracer is dead. That rapid damage can build up those ultimates so fast. Yuki taking a few errant balls from the Discord, or from the destruction rather. Caffey right now just waiting in the wings, waiting for their opportunity perhaps to get a big pulse bomb stick here. Going to be trying to communicate with their team, but right now just a little bit of patience is all that's required. They see the Sigma, they see the Zenyatta, but they instead go for the Brig. Doesn't quite connect as much as they needed to. Kara still has that rally in pocket. Now Oblivione going to be leaning in with the tactical visor, the Transcendence as well, to get everybody motivated to move right onto point. Vistola still having that gravitic flux as well, should this fight go for a few more respawns, although it looks like that was a pretty convincing win from the side of Oblivione.
Yeah, and Barra dies without being able to use that rally. That Transcendence also will be coming through, but this is one less push. The spawn advantage is coming for the defenders.
Absolute calculation coming in from Vistola, catches Ding as the Transcendence is ending, meaning that they're still going to take that damage. We do see a couple kills going in favor of the defenders. Olden Board not quite ready to give this one up, but they may just have to. That second tick so close. It's Boger trying to just hold it down. Really don't want to let go of this second tick, but Ding sweeping in from the side, taking down Kara, and now Vistola going to be the last one standing, gets shot up into the air and taken down to the ground.
And when you start losing members from the side of the attackers over and over again, you know that means you have to regroup. They still have a lot of time, 4 minutes remaining for Oblivione to make something happen. And that initiation that we saw from them was so good. They were able to take down Break. They were able to take down also Zenyatta before anything else would happen, before Barrett and Ding were able to use their ultimate abilities. And that made the entire difference. Not only because they weren't able to engage properly, but because the defenders were able to come up on top when their spawn was over.
Also worth noting, 66% exactly achieved for Oblivione. Did not give them the tick, however, as now kills going in favor of Olden Board. One from their team and one from pulse bomb kill onto their opponents, by their opponents, as we look ahead. Oldenborg going to continue to press that advantage, pushing out into this high ground. The Accretion gets caught up by a post Explorer, not quite able to connect, but Caffey says, don't worry fam, I got you. Cleans up the kill for them.
And just like that, the ultimate advantage will be coming once again for the side of the defenders, looking pretty good. That post bomb, hoping that they can get another kill, maybe 2 with the Coffee, doing an amazing job so far. Always being in the backline, always being disruptive along with Walker. And that's exactly what this team needs to try to take more time away from Oblivione. That's the way they have to push the advantage and take the victory. The only advantage that we can see from Oblivione would be Fuki and the Tactical Advisor creating more space for them.
As we see, both tanks actually now going to be switching on, both main tanks going to be switching on to that Orisa. Sana taking down Danye, doesn't need the pulse bomb for it. Certainly doesn't hurt though, as Caffey demonstrates taking down Fuki with a pulse bomb of their own. Transcendence now going to be coming out from the side of Oldenborg. They're really trying to keep their team sustained and hold through on this defense. Cloud, however, taking down Ding as that Transcendence ends means that both the damage threat and the healing that can come through for Oldenborg not going to be as effective. The Gravitic Flux coming in from Explorer drops everybody down. Vistola dangerously low, but has the kinetic grasp to keep themselves alive. Now Fuki in the back wings, ready to throw in the Tactical Visor. Can't really be contested here as the point needs to be touched, but it doesn't look like anybody's going to be able to achieve that, as Oblivione slowly working their way up towards cleaning up the point. As Fuki takes down the Wrecking Ball, the Tracers, all that remains until the respawns come back in. Now it's going to be Explorer on the Diva. No more Sigma. Instead, just stall out as much as possible. But the minute 45, even that seems lofty. And as I say that, Oblivione going to be getting the progress that they need.
Oblivione having a really good performance right at the end. Once again, their engagement are so clean every single time. When they have the ult advantage, when they have the positioning that benefits them, that's all they need to push the advantage to take the victory. Really, really good job from them. And from Oldenborg, they also definitely did put up a fight, but it just became so hard at the end to hold it. They had 5 minutes to hold the defense, and it just didn't quite happen for them. And it all started when they weren't able to get that second point into their attacking side. And it was just a matter of, once again, not being able to play aggressive enough, not having that DPS, getting as much value as you would want to. But it's still so even that any of these two teams can win this match.
Now we're definitely seeing strong points for both of these teams. It's not like, one team just got lucky or, had a control map that happened to go in their favor, as we sometimes see, admittedly, when we have those 4-round series. But right now, it's looking like these teams kind of have a good read on one another. Oblivione having a little bit of the better read on Hanamura, but already we're ready to kind of wipe Hanamura from our memory banks as we're starting to look towards Eichenwald.
Eichenwald is just the middle of what's going to happen now. We've seen a lot of that control, a lot of that assault also coming through Payload when we saw Rialto. And it was very, very close depending on what every single team was good at. So we were talking about Oblivione being good at that positioning, those rotations that benefit so much, playing together, having that synergy going. But for the side of Oldenborg, they were able to get those picks and to always push the advantage from the main economy. So that was so important. Now I want to see a mix of this team is really figuring out what they're missing from each other, how they can benefit from each other, and coming up on top of this, we're going to be seeing for the side of the defense already a Wrecking Ball, so a lot of pressure that we're going to be seeing, making sure that he's not taken down immediately, that he doesn't get stunned and killed right away, that a Discord Orb, there are so many counters to Wrecking Ball, but it's so good at once again playing along with Sigma. Yesterday actually and the week before, we were seeing a lot of Wrecking Ball Diva playing more of a dive style, and both of them kind of going together and making sure also that the support lineup was staying alive. But with Sigma, you also have that shield, so you have the confidence that your DPS lineup is able to get a few picks for themselves, making sure that they don't get taken down right away.
As we see these gates start to open up, the teams will be looking to meet each other head on in the underpass, perhaps, or at least from a distance through that underpass. As we see Sana trying to be that little pest, sting the opponents with those 1,000 round a minute bees that come out of the pulsed pistols. But now we see Voger getting up on high, trying to get some sort of dislocation, some early damage as well. Wrecking Ball, great for that. Locks on to the Sigma. Vistola kind of has to divert attention just to that one Wrecking Ball to deal with it, meaning that the side of Oldenborg able to push in a little bit more aggressively. Voger still maintains this high ground, baits out the whip shot coming in from Kara, and with that Olden board have a brief man advantage, but Explorer gets taken down in a similar fashion. Numbers suddenly looking a little bit more even. Caffey trying to chase onto the Soldier, onto the Zenyatta, but gets stunned out by Kara. Not going to be too bothered, though, as the rewind is there, but Fuki has the response. Oblivione now starting to strike back. Fuki getting warmed up, and once we see that Soldier get warmed up, certainly starts to deliver for the Oblivione squad, but they are a little bit man low right now.
Definitely, and I do like that you make the highlight into Fuki. He's one of the newest players that we see from the side of Oblivion, and he's had an amazing performance. He was playing for the Ultimates before, doing really, really good on that hit scan roll. That's what we're seeing once again. Now playing a Soldier, so ideal hit scan, if I say so myself. They are able to create a lot of space as well with the Tactical Visor. That's what's going to happen right now when he's able to get it.
As we look ahead, a lot of ults potentially coming online in these next couple of fights. Fuki trying to stay in the back and pay that long-range damage dealer. That Soldier has now kind of morphed himself into being the pile driver coming through. Sets up an excellent combination with the Gravitic Flux from Vistola. All that's needed, no tac visor required.
And they will be saving it for next fight once they're able to build it. Now Danji does have it for himself, so big opportunity for the attackers to try to push forward with it. But it's a very risky situation. They still have a lot of time remaining, but they don't have the confidence that they have to push in, especially with the way that they're playing this composition, where they're playing a little bit slower, playing for picks and just waiting for the DPS to make something happen, as well as maybe Ding is just able to do so for himself.
And White Noise causing a lot of disruption right out of the gate. Seems like Old and Board kind of forgot about the Wrecking Ball, allowed that pile driver to come through, and Fuki just taking those shots as the heroes rise up into the air. Oblivione once again looking good here, and it's going to have to be the careful backup from Old and Board. They don't want to suffer any more displacement, and especially not any more losses, but Danya goes down.
And they're in a really bad positioning for them to try to stay alive. Now Vistola is going to get those 3 kills at the end. Sana getting the 4 just like that. They clean up, only 1 minute remaining for this side of the attackers to make something happen, to try to get this payload moving, but it's not going to be easy. Looking at the ultimate economy, Fuki is going to have that tactical visor that we were talking about. Winos is going to probably throw the minefield into the tunnel, just making sure that no one is able to push forward. And just like that, that should be enough for them to take this victory in 1 or 2 more fights.
Ultimates looking very similar across the board indeed. We now see Olden Board trying to push through that choke. They're going to be throwing the minefields out. Yuki not getting hit by the pile driver, interestingly enough. Ding, the first one to initiate that transcendence as Oblivione backs up the aggression. Not really able to be capitalized from the side of Olden Board. That transcendence perhaps a little bit wanting in the near fight, but Cloud gets taken dangerously low, kept alive, does not opt to pop that transcendence to save their own life, and might just pay out for them here. The transcendence comes out now as the Gravitic Flux tries to come in and save the rest, or tries to deal the damage to the rest of their team, rather. Oblivione slowly getting pushed off of point, and they are going to be giving up their first tick for their efforts. However, the question is, can they come in for the retake? We see the Wrecking Ball get slowed down with the pile driver shut down by the Brig. However, able to get away. Going to be Sana going in for the Pulse Bomb. Doesn't quite get the kill, but Explorer does get cleaned up by Vistola with that Gravitic Flux coming through. Second tick now has been achieved for the side of Old and Board, but it doesn't look like they're much longer for this world. Overtime ticks down 69.3% going for the attackers in this round.
And we talk about how Oblivione has such a good lineup for their team, and they definitely show this here. The DPS constantly getting those picks at the beginning, the support lineup keeping everyone alive on the side of the defense, and especially highlighting the effort that we saw from the side of White Nose. Vistola also on the same at getting those 3 kills at the end. That Flux also coming through right in the right time when it seemed like Olden Board was going to take the advantage, but they don't let this happen. This is really, really good, and now a big challenge for Olden Board to hold here. And it's not the first time that we see it. They start with confidence, and they just start struggling a little bit more. Seems like this is one of the cases, and it seems like Oblivione could possibly be taking the victory here.
It's certainly well within their wheelhouse. Have to get just over 2 ticks on Eichenwald. That is not the loftiest of achievements. So a certain strong defense is going to have to come through from Old and Board. But how does, being the aggressive team play when you're on defense, Dryad?
It's not going to be easy, but making sure that either when you're attacking or defending on these points, you have to make the early engagement. If you're playing, for example, Moria, that we actually don't see now, you have to use the coalescence early. If you have a break, like we do see right now from the side of Barretts and Kara, you have to use that rally early on. The sooner that you get the ultimates, the better it's going to be for your team, especially on the defense. It's not going to be easy. They have a lot of time. 4 minutes for them. If one effective attack from the side of Oblivione should be all they need to win here.
We'll see if they can get that one effective attack here on the first go as this first fight is underway. We're seeing Vestola trying to deal damage to that Sigma shield early on, but it's going to be Explorer being very careful to not give up too much. Barrett's, however, taking it down right out of the gate by Cloud. A couple of shots from the Zenyatta going to be keeping them down and in the ground, and already Oblivione looking very good. They've pushed forward, they've bought themselves the space they need. They're getting some depths on their end, but they are doing it with a fair amount of trading back and forth. They're already so close to that second point. Giving the Dredger barely able to touch, but Fuki able to catch them out as they get right on the point. The rockets come through. Oblivione takes the victory.
Oblivione comes up on top and takes the victory exactly like we expected. Only one fight that was needed here, and I can wall attack for them to win. They do a really, really good job from beginning to end. And we were talking about it. In October, they were the number one. They had a number one spot in Contenders trials because they were doing so good. Their only struggle once when they reached out Contenders level where they had to drop, unfortunately. But this is the level that we expect from them. Olden Board also definitely did put up a fight there.
Yeah, it was not a rollover for Olden Board, that much is certain. They were trying their best, and like I said, that last fight, even still, they were trading back and forth. It's just Oblivione had the positioning. They had a little bit of the advantage in the manpower, so they were able to roll through, get some point progress, and after that point, it's really hard to recover.
And we need to give it to Olden Board, where we have to take into account this is a new team, and yeah, the players are known already, but not all of them have played together before. So this puts a question mark, and I believe this is just a matter of not having the full understanding of the composition and how to play it together. This is why Oblivione had probably more preparation for able to take the victory there. We were talking about the rotations, the composition, how they were able to get picks from beginning to end, and that's why give them the victory here.
Yeah, but overall, folks, that was the game. Olden Board versus Oblivione. Oblivione taking it up 3-1. We do have a little bit of an interview here coming in just a little bit, but we are going to be taking it to a brief break so the teams can decompress before they have to answer some of our questions. So please stick around. We'll be right back. And just like that, folks, we are back, and I do have that treat I promised you. We're going to be having a little bit of an interview here. We have Cloud, that support player, coming in from Oblivione. Cloud, congratulations on your victory over Olden Board.
Thank you, thank you. It was a fun game. We kind of off-rolled, but yeah.
Now, I want to ask, because I don't know. It feels like me and Dryad, we were talking a lot about the supports and the amount of kills you guys were able to get. Is that something that seems pretty dominant in this meta, or was that just kind of a one-off thing?
I don't know. It probably was just a one-off thing. Like, just getting 5 orbs randomly and stuff.
Okay.
Okay. In regards to that, we were talking once again about the flex supports, that the role that you guys have, and how you were able to always come up on top of that Zenyatta. So I want to know a little bit more about how you feel about this composition, because we know that having the break, having a Zenyatta, it doesn't necessarily give you as much heals for your team. So how is your team able to play around it? Do you have a lot of communication going on behind the scenes, or do you have a lot of practice in the composition? How does that work for you?
I think it's just like our backline plays together with the soldier break, and we don't really die with the soldier heals, and the ball tracer just goes for health packs, so they don't really need that much heals. The only guy we need to forget is the Sigma, so it's fine with the low amount of heals with Brixan.
Yeah, and I have actually one more question for you, that it's in regard to the tank lineup. So yesterday we saw a lot of teams playing Diva and Wrecking Ball, but today we saw more of that Sigma. And I've heard a lot of conversations around it. What's your opinion on it? What do you think it's best, and why do you think it's maybe the Sigma could be better for you?
I think it's a team-reliant thingy, but I think Sigma is a lot better than Diva because you can just poke the enemy team out, and it's really hard to play Diva. Like, if the enemy team plays Diva and you play Sigma, they have to play really quick or they just lose because of the damage. But that's why Sigma is a lot better than Diva.
Certainly makes sense. We saw the Sigma putting down a lot of damage today, it felt, or at least putting a lot of shield pressure on. But Cloud, I think we are about ready to wrap it up here. Want to thank you again for coming into the booth, answering a few of our questions. But before I let you go, I always like to give the guests the opportunity to give any shout outs they feel might be necessary.
I don't know. I want to shout out our tank line. They've been doing a lot. Well, White Knight has been playing a lot of ball. He was really bad at the start. But he's decent at the ball hero now.
Okay.
Oh, all right. Well, always love hearing that that those players getting that improvement going. It's the dream of every Overwatch player, or at least myself. But once again, Cloud, thank you for hanging out with us, answering a few of our questions, and again, congratulations on your victory.
Thanks for having me. Bye-bye.
And with that Dryad, we are about ready to wrap things up. For now, we will be back in a few moments with our next game. It's looking like it's going to be OTPog versus VASTA Gaming. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome back, everybody, from that brief break. I promised we wouldn't keep you waiting long, and here we are, ready to go at it once again with our second game of the day here for EU Contenders Trials. VASTA Gaming versus OTPog. Just in case you forgot it, and because I love saying my own name, Sir Waltham and Dryad at the helm, ready to talk to you guys through what we're about to see. Dryad, what's our read on these teams?
Yeah, so we're going to be seeing VASTA Gaming against OTPog. These two teams are going to be also very, very interesting because unlike our prior match where both of them took the victories yesterday, these two teams didn't really take the victory yesterday. So we don't really know what was happening. Maybe it was a different income position. Maybe it was a difference of maybe they were going against very tough opponents. We do have to admit that. So a lot of question marks. We don't really know when we were talking a little bit about the compositions and the roster that we've seen from them. They are very, very strong. The DPS lineup definitely making a difference here. But to me, it's getting to a point where teams have to have either that mirror matchup or really figure out a way to counter it. There are so many players in VASTA Gaming that have had really good performances, really good kills. We talk about Kate, we talk about Wymone. So many of them that we've seen on Sombra, on Tracer, which are the main highlights that we've seen this past 2 months. But when it comes to other matchups, they're really, really struggling. So I just want to see them making the adaptation changes as soon as possible so they can take the victory here.
Now, we're certainly going to see how these adaptations come into play. As, you know, yesterday we saw a little bit of Echo, but today, so far, we haven't seen a whole lot of that. Curious to see exactly how these teams kind of morph and mold into that. I get the feeling that we might see, you know, some potential from VASTA to play a little bit more of those flying characters. If I remember correctly, Wymone does tend towards those projectile heroes a little bit more, and that's always something I'm excited for.
That is why there are so many question marks on what these two teams are going to play, because you can get away playing an Echo, playing a Pharah even, and then we talk about the Tracer, the Sombra. There's so many opportunities. I've had the opportunity to at least read to a lot of coaches in the scene to see what they're thinking, what they are aiming towards, what the composition is going to set to be, what the meta is going to be, and everyone just has a lot of question marks, especially in the tank line like we saw before. So yesterday we were seeing a lot of Diva, and then today we were seeing a lot of Sigma, and then it's just a lot of what teams feel most comfortable in until the meta really is found out. This usually just takes 2 weeks, so this is a really good start for teams to start taking the advantage on it.
Yeah, certainly a good opportunity to get a read on the way the compositions might start to unfold as we look into Lijiang Tower to start. For those of you who may have missed the first half, we're going to go in the order of Lijiang Tower, then to Rialto, Hanamura. After that, Eichenwald, Oasis, and Ilios. Don't worry, we'll go over all that a little bit later as well if you didn't catch it all. But right now, it looks like Night Market's what we're assembling on to start. Dryad, what do you think the compositions might look like? Do you think we see this all?
We can definitely expect that Wrecking Ball being played and playing very, very aggressive. And then once again, we were talking about the question marks that we have on the side of the other tank, where we've seen Diva, where we've seen Sigma. Yesterday, we also saw a little bit of Roadhog. So anything could be played depending on what teams feel comfortable in. And we're looking at VASTA Gaming and we're looking at OTPog. They were looking pretty comfortable when it was that Roadhog composition. So I wouldn't even deny the possibility of seeing this hero. Now, the question mark is also what we're going to be seeing in the support lineup, where there are so many variables. I think Ana is one of these standards ones that you want to go on this map. But we've also seen that Moira being played out.
Well, right now, a lot of differences to pick between it with these two teams. Pretty much just the Tracer and Ana going to be the only consistencies here, as OTPog looking to press up with that Torbjorn, immediately using the Overload to try to throw out a lot of damage. Not necessarily for the health boost as much, not too much threat onto Kaju there for the time being, but you see BAME1 trying to get some early damage with the pile drivers, and so far putting the tanks in a very uncomfortable position, actually displacing them away from points. So OTPog is going to be able to get that initial early point capture. It's going to be crucial for them to pick up this progress as we look ahead. And now BAME1, again, going to be going for a big pile driver, but instead, it's going to be the side of their opponents getting these first few kills. OTPog so far not looking too great. VASTA showing a little bit of dominance here, as we can see them getting that point and flipping it before it hits that 15.
And VASTA is the one playing a little bit slower, making sure they don't get picked at the beginning. And it's the same thing happened like we saw in the prior matchup, where one of the teams takes a point at the beginning, but because of the good rotation that we saw from VASTA, they're able to retake it. Now they're going to pass that percentage, that 14, which is not really a big deal, but this enables them to try to stay alive for a little bit longer, try to build some ultimates that they need.
As we can see, Cage going to be taken down Quater early on. as does Julo fall in similar fashion. And VASTA, again, getting a few kills, but they're being fairly equally traded out. Have to be very careful of that turret, that 7th man on the field, as I like to say, quite a bit here. And Cage almost throwing themselves quite off the map, but has that rewind in pocket ready to bail themselves out of a sticky situation. And already, VASTA getting quite a bit of point progress. Gonna be the Wrecking Ball getting chased down by Cage, who dives through the minefields before they're actually activated. Excellent play there. Cage getting the nano boost. Doesn't decide to push onto the Ana. Doesn't want to risk a sleep dart cutting their nano short. As we see VASTA trying to push ahead, deal with this turret. And now the point has been flipped in favor of OTPog, but they're still not getting too far ahead in terms of these kills. Redzia gonna be taken down. Cage actually delivering quite a performance here, getting the 3K before finally being taken down by Fifilek, as we see VASTA evicting their opponents from the spawn, at least for the time being, although they do have to deal with this one loose Wrecking Ball.
We've seen quite a lot of Cage always being so disruptive, trying to melt everyone's health, which is exactly what's happening. That enabled the team to take control again. VASTA Gaming looking pretty good so far, and also taking into account that a lot of ultimate abilities were used right at the beginning of that fight for OTPog. This means that for the next fight, they will be having the next ones that they didn't use. That whole Hog is going to put more pressures, but especially the rally that we have to talk about, because now he doesn't have, it's not playing that Brig, he's playing an Ana, so that's where you start seeing the difference in composition and aggressiveness.
We see the Gravitic Flux come online from Nipahog. Gets taken down mid-flight, not quite able to deal the damage, but it's going to be Redjock who does go in with that Tracer, trying to deliver a little bit of a performance of their own, and helps OTPog clear out the point just a bit. A nice hook onto Julo. Going to be ensuring that they get taken down by the Torb with the assistance coming through. And so far, this point is getting flipped like a pancake here at Dryad. It's going back and forth. This time it lands on the OTPog side.
Going back and forth, and this is really surprising to see, just because of the difference in compositions. You would expect one to have the better understanding of the defense especially, but now 89% for the side of VASTA Gaming. They need one clean fight to take the victory here, and they do have the ultimate economy to do so. The duplicate from Wimone will be coming through very soon, and a lot of ultimates that were used for OTPog before, so they will be in a disadvantage here.
We see Maimone try to push up onto that Brig, able to heal herself up to that half health mark, meaning that the Echo not going to be able to duplicate, or not going to be able to deal as much damage as they like. Going to be taking the duplicate form from the Tracer, closing the gap onto Quater. Doesn't build up the Pulse Mine, though, might not be necessary, as the Wrecking Ball, taking a little bit of a nap, rolls right into Julo's mine field. It's now going to be the Roadhog, just a giant ult charge for the side of Maimone and their squad.
But we can expect BAMFam to try to come as soon as possible, try to hold it for a little bit longer. It's not going to be easy though. Over time, put more pressure into the attacking side to try to take the victory. It doesn't seem like it will be possible for them.
Not quite, as VASTA already killing that Lucio early on. The kills just followed from there. The Moira trying to keep herself alive, but not able to provide any support onto point. Instead, will just die alone and off a cliff. Pulse Bomb goes in deep from Cage. Not really looking to find anything, but a little bit of style points if they're able to get the Lucio. A Pulse Bomb coming in from Rezia for themselves as well, trying to turn the luck around for OTPog, but it doesn't seem like it's going to quite be doable as OTPog loses this map.
It was so close though, 89% that OTPog was able to get, so they're not looking too bad. The real challenge will be coming through into the next few maps, and we actually have control center. We really like seeing this. We can expect a little bit more of damage coming through right at the beginning. That Junkrat, they might be lucky for both sides, and already a lot of hints of the aggression that doesn't have to play here. The main thing is always just having that Lucia for the speed. Once you're able to take advantage of the speed that you have and the aggression that you have, that should be enough to take the point and to try to hold it for a little bit longer.
I'm particularly excited to see if this Doomfist comes out from my Monet. Man, a lot of heroes that we don't see as often. It's going to be the Doomfist in this area. The huge brawl potential here, and overall looks a little bit more bunker-esque coming in from the side of VASTA. The opportunity to stay stationary a little bit more, but BAME1 going to be making sure that that stationary ability does not come through to full completion. Instead, going to be causing a little bit of disruption as Kaju throwing in the bombs, doing a little bit of disruption of their own, but going to be disrupting the Lucio from their life force, as now they pummel a few more pills down into the lane, and already OTPog has created quite a bit of distance between VASTA and the point. The question is, can VASTA strike back?
They should be trying to build those ultimate abilities right now. They are ready for the recontest. They have to play this very smart, making sure that they get the initial pick to take advantage, and that's exactly what happens. Cage to drive Invin.
Ooh, and Maimone coming in from the back end, catching out Regiok. Not going to quite be able to do too much without that McCree. Putting down as the enforcement tool, the Ana gets taken down, not by Maimone, but instead by Snap. And with that, Vasta does end up flipping it, although it took him a little bit longer than on Night Market.
We were curious to see if the Doomfist was going to be played, and it actually is. I'm not the biggest fan of seeing Doomfist, but when they started getting value out of it, getting 2 kills, 3 kills right away, it's always really, really good to see. Now you're going to have that ultimate ability as well to allow you to create a little bit more space. So VASTA Gaming looking pretty comfortable so far. Everything that they could have to make sure that OTPog is playing slower, they have amplification matrix also just, and the choke will be enough.
Day 1 going to be dropping these mines, trying to buy a lot of space. Cage throwing in a tire as well, getting some early picks into this initiation might be a huge benefit. We hear it still rolling around. What's it going to find? It finds Fifalek. A great opportunity there for Vasta, knowing that that Hog no longer has that kill potential because he is in fact dead himself. Babe 1, however, going to be trying to turn things around, taking out that immortality field with the help of some minefields. Now it's going to be Caillou trying to drop a tire of their own, seeing if they can find any value with it instead. Cage using some predictive shot coming through, landing a direct impact right onto the tire. Excellently played there. Maimone getting caught out by the total mayhem. You hate to see it happen, but Caillou will be willing to give their life for that sacrifice if it means that the side of OTPog going to be able to turn things around for them. See Fifalek actually using the whole Hog while receiving a nano boost and the Valkyrie. High ultimate investment just to get the point flip, but Vasta still not quite out of this fight yet. We keep seeing trades going back and forth. Maimone gets a right click, but not quite able to close in with the damage.
A lot of trades coming back and forth, but at the end of the day, the one that comes up on top is the defender, the OTPog. Definitely use a lot of ultimates there. The whole Hog that you were mentioning, that Nano also coming through for this Roadhog. And now the best opportunity that they have is not going to be a lot, but the minefield that is going to be ready in just a few seconds. In the meantime, Ipa Hog does look pretty good. That Flux can be big, and they just need to figure out a way to pass this choke.
Caillou maintaining this higher ground over the point, just trying to provide that constant, consistent threat with the Rivet gun. Quater not quite able to get away, tries to Guardian Angel to that Torbjorn, but just not quite able to find it. Now Caillou kind of caught out in a little bit of no man's land. Does eventually get put into the ground by a trap from Cage, appropriately named, if I might add. The Wrecking Ball gets the boop onto the Lucio. Bame 1 using that grappling hook with some good effect. It's now just going to be on the Roadhog to try to contest this. Able to drag Cage into the minefield. Takes an anti-nade, meaning that they're not going to be able to receive the healing benefit from the Mercy, but does give the Mercy the space to get the res onto Bame 1. A great opening there for OTPog here. They're starting to get these reinforcements back in, and that's exactly what they need to hold this point for as long as possible. In fact, we're going to see it hit 99. The point does flip over to Vasta Gaming. Cage going to be able to take down Fifalek, and now it looks like Vasta Gaming may start to be able to put one foot in front of the other. Maimone trying to get the stick onto Caillou, or trying to get the damage onto Caillou, rather. Not quite able to find it, however. A couple ultimates lined up for their opponents, though.
Yeah, this is going to be the biggest difference. It's a big challenge for VASTA Gaming if they want to also win this sub-map. It's not going to be easy because every single ultimate ability that could benefit OTPog is available. And we see it right now with the Molten Core starting it off.
The Molten Core does come out. Caillou trying to buy some sort of damage with it. Nipahog dangerously low. Just getting meleeed down by Fifalek. It will in fact be the Molten Core that ends up taking their life. However, numbers still looking pretty decent for the side of Vasta Gaming. They do need to have somebody on point, else it will flip, but that point's going to be very hard to contest when the mines are all over the place. Dropped courtesy of Bame 1. Quater using that Valkyrie, not able to keep their tanks alive enough. And overtime will start to slowly tick down. That turret trying to whittle away, but it can only do so much. It's a machine, for God's sakes. Vasta Gaming will take it here on Lijiang.
And even though they get this map to, it seemed much closer than what it ended up to. Both teams are able to get over that 80%, and it's just Vasta Gaming who's able to get that 100% into every control, and that's all they need to take the victory here. But this just means that seeing the other maps that are going to be played, it just puts a lot of question marks into if, for example, we're going to keep seeing that the Roadhog that is very strong but also risky play when you are playing him more as a main tank. That means that you have to be the one creating space, and when you're getting counter over and over again, it can be by a Zenyatta, it can be by breaking, it can be so many possibilities that it puts more pressure into the front line and is going to counter you directly. So I want to see what other compositions they have to bring. We were talking about it at the beginning. VASTA Gaming and OTPog were looking pretty strong when the Roadhog meta was coming through about 2 months ago. But now it seems like they don't want to let it go when everyone else is making that shift into that ball Sigma, ball diva that we were mentioning.
Yeah, I mean, the concept of not having shields and then using a Zenyatta to fight into a team that has no shields, the Zenyatta is going to get a huge amount of value. Not only can the shields not break that line of sight, but they also can't prevent any damage if they don't exist, meaning that you're just going to be receiving the raw 25% damage boost every time. A crucial pick here, and so far I'm liking what I'm seeing from both of these teams. A little bit curious as to the strategies that are going on for OTPog. We saw the Torbjorn come out quite a bit, and Molten Core got a little bit of value, but I sometimes wonder if perhaps that could be allocated to a different hero.
And I don't think we're going to be seeing the Torbjorn that much being played. We've seen it today before, but I don't think it's the strongest pick that you want to have yet. You can better counter the Tracer maybe, but that doesn't seem like it's going to be enough in the great scale of things. So you want to play something that gives you the more of that confidence. That Soldier that we've seen before, very good. The Soldier Tracer, I would say, is my favorite composition to see in these two teams, because you really are able to get a grasp into the meta, a grasp into how teams are able to play together, to have the synergy going, the momentum going, that, for example, VASTA has right now. So a lot of pressure that I want to see from them, especially when we're going into Rialto.
An interesting thing to note here is going to be Caillou taken out and subbed out for Pendrix. Pendrix going to be coming in on that DPS slot. Curious if that means we're going to be seeing a little bit of a compositional change. Perhaps they had Caillou just out for that Torbjorn, just for those control point maps where the game mode's a little bit different than what we typically see with the more objective-based modes.
Rialto plays so different that that's something that we definitely have to take into account. Maybe they're hinting us are going to be seeing that double hit scan, even that is possible in Rialto, but I think there is a lot of opportunities for teams to play what they're best at, but also to counter, and we haven't really seen just yet the picks to counter the enemy team. We've seen more picks that benefit everyone individually, like we were talking about the Roadhog, and also like other teams have talked about the Sigma, the Diva, whatever their tanks feel more comfortable with. But for Rialto, once again, you have to expect a lot of pressure being put, especially right at the beginning, for the side of the defense if they want to hold it longer. It's not easy at all taking those high grounds and taking the advantage into that corner, because once you lose the corner at the beginning, it's going to be so much harder to defend.
It certainly will. We'll see exactly how these teams' compositions come to fruition here in just a moment. It's going to be OTPog on that defense to start in the white. And we're seeing the Genji come out. This is not something we've seen be too successful so far in this month of Contenders Trials.
Yeah, and I don't expect the Genji to last long. Sometimes certain players were very confident on to playing Genji, and there is a reason for it, like we saw yesterday, but we haven't really seen it getting value because it's just so hard to get anyone from the backline when you have everyone that's going to push you forward to try to kill you right away. So I really want to see how Pendrix is able to perform on this Genji. Also, having this mirror when it comes to the echoes, going to be interesting who's able to build a duplicate first, who's able to get more value out of the abilities.
Certainly to see who comes out as the superior Echo. Perhaps, maybe they don't even interact with each other, but seems unlikely as OTPog starting to poke and prod at the defense here, or at the offense, rather, of their opponents in VASTA Gaming. We see Redjock trying to get some early shots onto their opponents in the sky. Cage not able to really play these angles too comfortably. Gets a nice body shot on the Pendrix, with the follow-up being there. Nipahog, I believe, got the accretion onto that Genji. So far, looking good for VASTA. They continue to move this cart, and a nice shot onto Invin. Cage going to be stopping that nano boost from being built up as quickly as they might like. Have to be very careful, though. They're getting pressured out by this wrecking ball. And be going in for the pile driver. Maimone, I'm going to take BAME one down. And VASTA Gaming, so far, making a nice little jog towards that first point.
Yeah, we're pushing forward, and also thanks to the DPS lineup, making sure that they're able to get the kills. But this is a very risky play to see the Widowmaker actually getting a lot of value so far. But once we see OTPog trying to counter it is going to get much harder for this Widow. I don't know for how long it's going to last, but so far it's working for them.
But you have to think it's going to be on Pendrix to try to deal with that Widow, but the Genji can only do so much. Maimone going to be going up and over the top, goes in for the duplicate with the Roadhog, taking a breather early on, gets put right into the river. Not much you can do, even if you're in duplicate form, to save yourself from that. A rough loss starting out here for VASTA on this final moment of this first point. Looks like they're gonna have to back off, try to recompose. Oh, they actually get the point, so able to get that touch. It looks like the entire defense wasn't quite there from OTPog. Nobody contesting cart. It will be BAME1 trying to redeem themselves by buying as much time as they can off the clock early on.
They go away for just a few seconds, and that's exactly what we saw from the start of the attack, is that they needed to see the victory. VASTA doing pretty good so far. Now they want to build those ultimate abilities again. They have everything to take space. That Flux will be coming through for Nico Hobbs, ideally to initiate along with the Valkyrie. That's all they need. In the meantime, the win condition for this side of OTPog is always going to be the Nanoblade coming through, but it has to get value at the beginning, and you can get countered with the Flux.
You know, we're gonna see if Pendrix gets stunned out, brought down to half health. Uses the deflect, doesn't find a whole lot in Cage, actually going to be shutting them down. Excellent plays coming through here from VASTA, dealing with their biggest threat right out of the gate, and pretty effectively. They do lose Maimone for their efforts, but they're going to be okay shutting down 2 ults for basically the price of none. Now we're seeing them push ahead. Nipahog still has that Gravitic Flux in pocket. Maimone getting brought right back into the fight. And everybody getting lifted up, or rather I say everybody, just Quater getting lifted up. That Mercy taken out of the field. You can't res the Reser as it goes. Now VASTA Gaming looking to push the cart. They have to deal with this low ground, though, while their opponents stay comfortably on high ground. Fifilek going to be bringing in their Echo, who then goes on to duplicate them. Not you, in fact, me, as it's going to be Maimone using that whole hog to some good effect, pushing back the opposing team.
You're going to have so much time to get through 3 minutes, 35 seconds remaining for the side of VASTA to try to make something happen. And the ultimate economy is looking so good. Penders gets taken down. You're definitely punishing him for picking Genji, but he keeps forcing you 40%. I'm not even sure if he's able to get another blade into this fight.
It's certainly going to depend on how long these next few fights take. It looks like VASTA Gaming, no slouch, just taking an aggressive initiation, as we can see right now. Looking to just size up their opponents, wait out. That Genji, always that weaker opportunity here, always that opening coming in from their opponents. Gonna be the minefields coming out from both Wrecking Balls. Mercy, however, able to fly away. Quater not taken down, although being aggressively chased. Duo eventually able to take their opposing supports down. Gonna be that Genji so dangerously low. The Ana not able to heal, even getting to sleep, but wandering right into a mine. You hate to see it. The BAME1 being the last man standing on cart, but even the last man standing will fall.
And this is just a question, is Penders able to get the blade? And if so, the Nano is not going to be available. A lot of pressure that they have into the last part of the defense. Something has to happen. They do have the stalling characters, they do have the Wrecking Ball Diva, but it might just not be enough.
We hear Cage throw in that high noon, making the side of OTPog a little bit more uncomfortable. Cage trying to throw in. Hendrix not able to utilize that blade, dies 3% from it. Now, if VASTA is able to deliver fast enough, get these kills as quickly as possible, it will be impossible for that Genji to come in and contest. He comes back online, has the blade. We're going to be seeing, it looks like Cage might have their number, but no. In fact, no opportunity for the blade to come out. Pendrix not able to deliver the slice.
No, we see it at the end. Right when the game is over, able to use that second blade. That's just looking too bad. If you are watching this game, if you're wondering why isn't Genji played, well, there you go. You have the answer. Everyone is countering him. Everyone is countering Pendrix on the Genji, and it seems like some other teams have had the same idea. Let's just try to go to the back lane with Genji. Let's just try to get some value, but it's not going to be easy. Especially taking into account that a very initial pick that we saw, and it was that McCree from Cage. It was stunning Pendrix over and over again, and then to mention you also have the stun from the Sigma Rock. And just like that, Genji gets countered not only under neutral, but also when you're using your ultimate ability. That just puts so much pressure into DPS lineup. So I do want to see some changes. I'm not the biggest fan of seeing Genji being played on the current meta, even though Genji's really fun to see when he has that strength, but this is definitely not one of the occasions. And for the side of VASTA, they are taking advantage of this. They have so much time remaining because they go to into a third round, 3 minutes, 4 seconds remaining. And they are very good at creating space, so I expect to see this once again from their side.
We'll see if VASTA can put on as strong a defense as they did the offense. 3 minutes still left in the time bank for them. They're going to be pretty comfortable with that, and they can have a few slip-ups here and still take a comfortable lead if this goes into multiple rounds. We see Naone early on trying to just take flight, get some early spam damage. Echo, fairly good for that, if I do say myself. Although, so far, not a whole lot of hard conflict coming through. The sniper shots try to come in from Retziok, but not able to land onto as much as you might prefer. Hendrix getting brought dangerously though, able to dash out in time, but Genji, if he's getting healing, he's not receiving that much effect through the damage. As we see, Julo going to be trying to put some pressure on Retziok. Always has that Widow being constantly harassed. If your Widow's not able to face forward, a little bit of a tougher spot. Although, it looks like OTPog still able to get quite a bit of cart progress. Not a hard contest coming through too much from VASTA Gaming just yet. Instead, looks like they're backing up and opting to hold into this underpass. It's very risky coming in here, and with Cage going down, that means Hendrix has a little bit more freedom to swing in heavy. It's going to be Julo taking down Retziok, so that long-range distance not as much a problem. Neither is Hendrix. The teeth pulled from the side of the attackers here. Nipahog tries to go for the kinetic grasp, able to be kept alive through sheer healing alone. Nano Boost certainly not going to hurt as well. Receives it from Snappy. It's going to be VASTA trying to push ahead, trying to get those exit kills. Not able to get too much, but they will survive the push.
VASTA starts by giving a lot of space to OTPog, which we've already talked about how risky of a play it is, but they actually get value out of it. They actually are able to hold a point before it's lost, and now the pressure is really going to come through with all the ultimate abilities that they have. Nano Blade, or the Blade only, is going to be ready in just a few seconds, along with a minefield to create space for him.
Yeah, perhaps keep an eye on Nipahog to get the lockdown with the Gravitic Flux. There it goes. The Blade goes out, takes down Snap. The Gravitic Flux comes out, but not quite soon enough. Nipahog gets taken down by a melee from Fifalek. And with this, the kills still going back and forth. VASTA not quite out of this just yet. Maimone creeping around in the sky behind their opponents, trying to get the damage in, focusing down that Genji, using the focusing beam, knowing that the Genji can't deflect that. It's going to be Nipahog trying to throw in the Gravitic Flux once again. Not finding a whole lot of success there, and now it looks like OTPog going to start to lead in with these kills. They just need to clear out the tanks and Cage. Tracer not going to be able to do too much, at least that is unless they receive a nano boost, tearing up the soldier. Retziok not able to survive through that barrage. As we see now, Cage trying to focus their attention onto the Brigitte, but doesn't focus on the Roadhog right behind him. A uncomfortable position for Cage to be in. Still, this card being contested, it does not look like it's going to go in favor of the side of VASTA, but a lot of time off the clock once again.
And just at the beginning of that fight, we saw from the side of OTPog, they used 5 ultimate abilities just at the beginning, and then it seemed like it was not going to be benefiting them, but they decided to capitalize out of it after the ultimates have been out. And now, just like that, Pendix will be having another blade, so a better opportunity to get more value out of it this time. We saw one pick before, another opportunity, and Ramone also have the opportunity to turn in to use a duplicate and play a little bit more aggressive here, knowing that he has pretty much 2 lives to save here.
As we see early kills onto Invin means Pendrick's going to be a little bit more vulnerable if they decide to use that blade. No nano boost to go onto them, so no damage reduction. It's going to be the Roadhog duplicate coming out from Mamone, who uses the breather quickly and then cranks out that whole hog. Looking to put some pressure on that Break, who barely walks away with any life left. Although the cart will be staying here towards this overpass, it looks like Pendrick still trying to get some sort of damage done here, but they are all by their lonesome, closing the distance onto the supports. But Snappa gonna so far be chased down, cut down with the shurikens coming online. Now the cart starts chugging along, and it looks like the side of VASTA might be a little bit on the back foot.
And I actually do like seeing the aggression that we're seeing from Hendrix. It can be very, very risky, but he's getting value out of it now. You're able to pass this corner. It's going to look much easier for the side of the attackers. They are going to engage. They're going to play aggressive with this rally now.
And Retziok going to be also throwing in an attack visor, ensuring that those shots land, helping out their team, providing that, once again, consistent damage. The double kill coming in from the Rockets as well. OTPog not going to have as good a time bank, but they will still be getting the opportunity to get the cart to third.
They're able to clean up a lot of ultimates that they were used, but 3 minutes 25 seconds remaining for them for this side of OTPog. Trying to get to third, so it seems like there is a possibility of going to another round. But once again, the defense should have the advantage here with the Flux, also Nano creating a lot of space, enabling them to take control of the situation a little bit better now.
We see the Nano go out. It's going to be going on to Maimone. If the Echo can land her shot's going to be able to get in a duplicate. A duplicate's going to go right onto the Hog, able to build up a whole Hog, tear down Babe 1 as they're trying to exit. Once again, Maimone seems to favor the Hog duplicate here.
Yeah, and they are able to take control just using a little bit of that aggression from the duplicate. It pushes everyone from the side of OTPog all the way back. This is an ideal situation for them, only one ultimate, and that's going to be more than enough for them to hold. But they still have a big challenge coming through. That Flux being used early on would be ideal, but you also want to use it to counter Genji. So many possibilities into how this playstyle will be played through. And for the side of the attackers, they are pushing forward.
Fortunately, Pendrick's still a ways out from that blade, so it gives a little bit of breathing room to the side of Vasta, but they are taking some losses here. Bamfam getting stunned out immediately, focus fired by Vasta Gaming. The high noon comes in off the back of the Gravitic Flux. We see Cage trying to deal more damage, and it's going to be Pendrick who jumps in a little too deep as that Genji. You never want to walk face first into a McCree.
It was a very tough situation for the side of OTPog, but once again, they were able to build their ultimate, so they're not looking too bad. In the meantime, Cage was able to use their ultimates, and yeah, they were able to get value out of it, but now the real challenge is going to come through where the blade is going to be ready. That Rally also, so that Rally blade is one of the strongest picks for this team to try to win here.
The initiation comes in the form of the Rally Quater. Going to be starting off the fight by going that way. Pendrick brings out the blade, gets cut down. The Rally not going to be succeeding in getting too many kills. Fifilek not finding any kills with their whole Hog either. Maimone now pushing the pressure onto that squishy main tank. They use already more than half their ult bank just to try to get some sort of progress. And the only thing they find out is Julo gets taken down. Now Cage next to fall, but Maimone still has this duplicate in pocket. They're going to go for it in the form of the Wrecking Ball. Swings big, gets the pile driver as well. Immediate minefield out onto the ground. Yeah, they'll get taken out, but minefield going to be there to stay. Cage now coming back in from the respawns. Gets a couple shots, lands the high noon. That's all they really needed here. Not able to get a whole lot, though, as the line of sights are just barely broken. So looking like Julo gonna have to try to stall out as much as possible. Now, Burbo and Snappa are the only ones who had any hope of touching, but even they can't make it.
It was so close, but unfortunately for them, they weren't able to do anything, and that was a really good initiation from OTPog. Now we go to a third round, and there are more possibilities for them to take the victory. Yeah, they have less time, only 1 minute remaining for them, but it should be more than enough for them to push as far as they can, at least push it after that first point where you have the confidence they can win and have a better defense. But when we were talking about defense, the better defense was the one from Vasta, where it lasted way too long, and they were doing a really good job at making the rotations, making sure that the support lineup was staying alive. So if they're able to do this again, Vasta should be able to hold here and then into the next round just take the victory.
Interestingly enough, we saw a little bit more success. It felt like we saw a little bit more success when we didn't have that Ana committed to the Genji. Instead, we saw the Baptiste and the Brig. Curious to see if that's how OTPog is going to lean as we look into their attack phase once again. So far, it seems like that's the case.
And it's just not ignoring the power that Brig has right now. It's really, really good from the setup of OTPog. You want to have that Nano Blade coming through. You want to have the confidence that you can just going to be staying alive for a little bit longer, at least putting the damage necessary. But sometimes just going for the Rally, and the Rally Blade is also a very strong composition, a really strong pick that you can have. But once again, you have to get the ultimate as soon as possible, and it's not going to be easy for Pendrix.
Certainly will. Not taking an early biotic grenade to the body. Not going to help you out either. Make you a little bit more timid as you can't receive that emergency healing should you so need it. But now, VASTA Gaming going to be backing up here. You have to be very careful about how they take these engagements. You know, I'm only trying to focus down the Hog, trying to help out just a little bit. Not going to be using that focusing beam quite yet on Fifilek, as they do know that that breather is online. VASTA now taking this to a little bit more of a deathmatch style. The field starting to get overrun in all directions. Cage takes down Pendrix once again. Pendrix continuing to run that Genji right into the face of the McCree. Always going to be a tough time. cart starting to make some more progress, get closer and closer to that first point. 10 seconds left on the board, then it will just be a pure overtime push coming through from the attackers in OTPog. Bullets being exchanged in both directions, but not a whole lot of kills. Look for Fifilek to perhaps get a big hook set up for some good initiation, some good openings here if they're able to make it happen. Otherwise, don't know exactly how we're going to be seeing these teams trade out. Julo does have the minefield. They drop it right onto the cart. A costly or a painful point for their attackers to have to deal with. We do see BAME 1 falling to those mines. Now it's going to be the attack visor coming out from Redziok, trying to change up the complexion of this match by getting the damage. The amplification field comes out, but it might just be a moment too late. And we see the Genji all the way in the backline. Cage trying to provide a little bit of support to their Ana. Not able to do much. Cage actually saved by the boat there. Almost getting knocked right off into the river Rialto. You hate to see it. Now the Gravitic Flux comes online. The Immortality field taken down. The Baptiste trying to get locked down by the High Noon. Not quite finding it just in time. As we see Cage get hooked in, pulled out by Fifilek. And already this fight is going very lengthy for the attackers and defenders. As a matter of fact, the defenders need to win this pretty handedly as their respawns are a little bit farther. Doesn't look like VASTA is quite going to be able to pull it out just yet. Nipahog, the only remaining member, gets hooked out. And with that, first point has been achieved for OTPog.
And Inven has been doing really good on this Baptiste, making sure everyone's staying alive, and that was a lot of pressure, but they're able to push the payload forward. So ideal situation for them, like we were talking about. As long as you are able to pass that first checkpoint, you have the opportunity to take the victory. For this side of OTPog looking pretty good. Now the real challenge will be coming through. Some ultimate abilities have to come for VASTA if they want to win here. Then Nano going into the tank line from Nipahog, or also Cage being able to counter Pendrix would be ideal here.
Pendrix, perhaps the key for OTPog to win this next fight, bringing out the blade. We'll see if they can find any benefit with it. The deflect does get forced out. Julo gonna now be trying to roll around, cause a little bit of displacement, and on the benefit, Pendrix not able to achieve so much, neither is Redziok, as we see both DPS ults not finding a whole lot, but Fifilek, again, always delivers with that hook, it seems, right when they need it. Cage taken down. Gives Pendrix a little bit more room to work with. Maimone does have the duplicate up and online. Will they land it? Duplicates right as the hook from Fifilek goes out. Might have just saved them there. Now we're going to be seeing Maimone go in with the Genji, trying to build up a blade of their own. So far taking quite a bit of damage. Brings out the blade. Goes in for the break. Finds it. Quater taken out of the equation. Now it's going to be the chase onto the soldier who has to dislocate themselves. Redziok perhaps being a little bit wiser than they might let on. The focusing beam coming through with the Echo. Does take them down. Maimone at a dangerously low level, though. Not going to matter. Overtime's going to tick down. And it seems like VASTA not going to let Street's face fall.
Very interesting fight from the side of the DPS for both teams. But finally, the defense is able to hold, to take control of the situation. It was very risky. And ideally, one of the things that we want to see is them building a lot of ultimate abilities and then just pushing forward for the side of the defense. Just like that, you're going to overwhelm the enemy team. And there's absolutely nothing that they will be able to do when you have all the support ultimates, the DPS also pushing forward, and the tank line creating space. That wasn't quite what we saw, but it was more than enough for VASTA to take control of the situation a little bit better. They have more time into the attacking side, 3 minutes, 17 seconds, but those 3 minutes can be consumed right at the beginning before they're able to get the first point. So they have to play very aggressive. This puts a lot of pressure into the tank line, into Nipahog especially, to try to create space with the shield, making sure no one's getting taken down. And then if they're going to go for the support lineup of Ana, just making sure that everyone's peeling for this character, because once your Ana gets taken down, it's going to get much harder for them. And it has a really strong kid, but you have to get value out of it every single time. When you lose one of the supports, it just denies the possibility of this happening. So I really want to see this, especially knowing that for the defense, Pendrix is going to keep forcing this Genji. So if you're able to sleep him, if you're able to throw a rock at him as Nipahog, if anything that you can do for this will give you the victory if you're VASTA Gaming.
Yeah, huge advantage to Snappa as well, considering not a lot of shields to mitigate any of the sleep darts, any of the biotic grenades that might be coming through. Certainly a leg up that VASTA has in that perspective, but we'll see exactly if they can capitalize on that advantage, or if they'll fall perhaps a bit short. VASTA going to be taking this cart, rounding the first turn. A little bit more of this methodical play again. Maimone trying to get that early damage to cluster bombs. Not quite finding their marks as they need. A nice sleep on the Fifilek as the hook goes through. Quater getting burned down by Maimone. a great opportunity here for VASTA, knowing that that rally is not going to be online as well. The Immortality Field taken down. Going to be the focus being coming online once again for Mimone, using it right onto Fifalek. And this looks like a good first point so far for the side of VASTA, but the card still has to make its way quite a bit.
But the kills keep coming through, so that's going to be benefiting them more. So the targets will be coming through and they are able to just kill them over and over again. 2 minutes, 10 seconds about remaining for them to try to get to the second point even before. So they're looking pretty good, but the recontest for the side of OTPog will be coming through. They don't have any ultimates though, so it's not going to be easy. Maybe they want to play it slower, just try to hold and spend as much time as possible on the payload.
As we see VASTA getting displaced by BAME1, does a good job of making sure nobody continues to stay on that cart. Removes the resilience from VASTA Gaming. Niphahog getting that kinetic grasp forced out, but Mimone gonna be taking down Quater once again. This Brig been having Big Brig been having a tough time with it, but Mimone, how many times is this team gonna get saved by the boat? Trying to do the same with the Hog. No, boats fall into the river. Such an uncomfortable spot. Niphahog gonna be thrown in the kinetic grasp. Not needed. The point's still going to get captured. What did I just see?
Great Roadhog, great gameplay that we're witnessing right now. I mean, at the end of them, both of them get taken down, so it's going for the side of the attackers, but that's definitely something to take into account when evaluating the picks that you're making. And Wimene just doing pretty good into the duplicate, definitely just getting value out of it, but the boat saving their lives over and over again until it just wasn't enough.
Well, if I'm going down, you're going down with me, says one Roadhog to the other, but now Mimone once again taking it to the skies. Cage throwing out the pulse bomb, not able to find it. Niphahog taken down early by the Dragon Blade, a good opportunity from Pendrix coming down. Redzok getting caught out, does manage to get the kill onto Mimone, but trades their own life for it. Not too much cart progress going to be resulting here from VASTA, but they do have some opportunity.
3 kills for the side of OTPog. That means that for the side of VASTA, they have to regroup one last push, 30 seconds remaining, and they have to stay in the payload after if they don't want to lose just yet in the minefield. We see it is going to be ready. They're going to throw it into the choke, making it harder for everyone to push in. So big opportunity for OTPog if they want to win here. They have to play aggressive here, take the victory, take the space, and just like that, 10 seconds remaining for them.
We haven't seen the mines come out quite yet. BAME1 using those adaptive shields early on just to get those mines in position. Not going to be able to sustain themselves, though, if they start to take a lot of damage early on. It's going to be Fifalek, who does manage to walk away with that Roadhog, and nobody's paying attention to Retziok on this high ground, able to just rain it down. Oh no, Ana, I just warned you! No, Snap, but not able to maintain it themselves, and now it's just the Sigma, just the Wrecking Ball left. Once that is done, the book can be dusted. OTPog will walk away from this. It's going to be Julo trying to maintain themselves on the point, but only so much you can do as a lone ball against the entire enemy team. It's going to result in the victory going to OTPog.
Very, very even match that we saw at the end. A really, really interesting composition that enabled OTPog to take the victory. But once again, it was looking way too close. We went to 4 rounds just to define who was going to win here. And they do take the advantage. They're able to create more space. That's exactly what they needed to do. Even when VASTA had those 3 minutes, over 3 minutes remaining for them to win. That doesn't mean that's all they need. And they started getting picked right in the bridge, and there was absolutely nothing else they could do at the end when they weren't able to regroup. And if they waited for the regroup, then the overtime would come in, and just more pressure, especially with a minefield that was a point. So that's why we see OTPog getting the victory. They are trying to make the comeback now.
I mean, the opportunity is there. They are tied at 1 apiece now, and this is quite interesting now. I'm just curious to see how these teams choose, because Rialto had the composition that we weren't necessarily expecting or prepared for. Dryad. That Genji felt like it kind of came out of left field. OTPog, though, apparently delivering just as well with it.
And I think the victory doesn't really come from the Genji. It really comes from the tank line, allowing them to create a little more space and for the support line, keeping everyone alive. Not to say that DPS weren't doing an amazing job, but the Genji was getting countered over and over again. And when we look at the ultimates that we saw from this player, yeah, he was able to maybe get 1-2 in certain cases, but it wasn't something that we saw constantly. And when you're playing Genji, you are expected to get more ultimates throughout the entirety of Rialto. So that's where we start seeing the difference, and that's why these two teams of VASTA and OTPog play very, very unique compositions that might benefit them into taking the victory here. But when they're facing other teams that are playing more of the meta standard that you see right now, that's where the challenge might be coming through for them.
And it does look like the substitutions are going to start coming in. I do believe it's going to be Pendrix taken out, so no more of that Genji extraordinaire. Instead, it's going to be Caillou back in, fresh off their trip from Lijiang that we saw them on last. What do you think this means here, Dryad?
Well, definitely not the Genji. We might be seeing something else being played, and I actually really like this. Maybe the double hit scan that we mentioned before, seeing that Tracer played more often, I think would be ideal. And when we're going into Hanamura, that's something that you have to take into account. You want those heroes to play more of that sort of dive style that are able to go into the backline, put more pressure into point, and that's how you take the victory when you're attacking, when you're defending as well. There's a lot of possibility for you to hold space. Actually, the fact that OTPog won was also partly because we saw the soldier into the high ground in the backline, able to get those picks at the end. He was able to get Adam, then he was able to get a few others of the squishy heroes. Just like that, they're able to take the victory. So recognizing that these are very strong picks is what's going to allow VASTA and OTPog to win in Hanamura.
And Hanamura, just like last game, might be where we start to see these teams pick up their skill, pick up, I guess, their dominance over the opponents here. Yes, Vasta Gaming did win one, but it was on that control, which I think we tend to consider to be the great equalizer in terms of just, it being a little bit more death matchy. As we look, though, it might start to tip in favor of OTPog now that we're starting to get into more objective-based gameplay as the tendencies go.
It's definitely a possibility, but like you mentioned, there's a lot of question marks, and here's where we start to figure out the complete playstyle into how teams have to play, because we know when we see control and then we see maybe more of a escort map, we already have the understanding of how this works. Here, it's just a lot about the defense more than the attacking. You can have a really good attack, but if your defense, it's a defense where the enemy team is stronger. That's all you need to win. Then you have to make sure that you're able to engage and play a little bit more aggressive for the next round. So a lot of pressure that these two teams have. One of them has to take the advantage here, and that's why I do want to see more of that pressure being put for the tank line and for the supports. We haven't seen the Zenyatta that we saw yesterday, so I believe here Hanamura is a very strong pick that you can ignore. And the closest that what we can see would be Envin playing that Zenyatta. We saw him performing really well on Baptiste before, but Baptiste has a lot of question marks right now, where those combos and those abilities that the players were able to do before, where we have a balance between healing and damage that reduces the time between them. With the patches that we have right now, it just makes it a little bit harder. So getting value of Baptiste in comparison to Zenyatta might be more risky.
We'll certainly see if that's a risk that the side of OTPog are willing to take as the gates open. Vasta on this defense once again, going into Hanamura. See Marmone just lining up at the choke, or lining their sights up at the choke, ready to throw in any damage as is necessary. Lands a nice cluster of those sticky bombs right onto the Roadhog, able to build up their ult nice and easy from that. And Caillou getting their turret taken down rather early, not able to use that for a distraction as much as they might like. Amone is still just pressuring these long-range hit scan players, but a big anti-nade coming in from Snappa, not to overlook that, enables the kills onto Quater. Hifalek and Bame1 both taking their lumps as well, have to back out. Bame1 once again getting peppered by another anti-nade. Hifalek, however, able to shake it off, uses the take a breather ability, regenerates all their health back in one go, such as the way of the Roadhog. And already OTPog manages to secure 2 ticks onto the point. Not a lot of contesting coming out from Vasta. Looks like they're more focused on winning this fight, but they need to be careful. Winning the fight doesn't matter if they get the point.
Yeah, that was very interesting to see, because the tank line was putting pressure into point, but for the side of Vasta, they didn't want to give it up just yet. They didn't want to give up the positioning just to jump into point, and we saw it once. They lost 1 tick, and then we saw for OTPog keep doing the same. That was more than enough for them to win. Getting and the holding to that first point is not easy, and they have 5 minutes 30 seconds. As snowball potential might be coming through. They have to play this very smart if they want to win, and they do have the whole hook to push forward. Now all they need is their rally to just ensure that everyone's staying alive.
The benefit of Invin here being that OTPog gonna be able to get healed up a little bit faster, get those engagements going rather quickly. Snappa caught out without their Sigma to give them any sort of backup. Nipahog not quite able to use that gravitic flux as much as they might like, and Amone all of a sudden bringing out the Torbjorn, trying to get some Molten Core of their own going. Not going to quite be so successful here. Nifalek trying to throw in the full hog zone out, anybody on the opposing side get the point nice and clear. And already, again, 90% given over to OTPog Mamone, trying their best to clear out the point, but there's only so much you can do, and Fifilek going to be taking a late death here.
Well, Manuel was doing really, really good in that Acorn. We were talking about it at the beginning, how he was really good at just flying heroes, getting value out of them every single time. That's exactly what's happening now in a big opportunity, but we do have to take into account that the same thing happened again, second point, and they almost got to that third checkpoint. It was so, so close for the side of OTPog. They were able to get two. Now they just need one effective push and enough time that they have to do so. But we do see Rescue gets picked at the beginning, so they're going to have to go for the soldier with the tactical visor to get value out of it.
Yeah, Retziok dying a little bit late there. And a little bit of a breath of fresh air for Maimone, as they're going to have to be careful with that tac visor online. Flying targets very vulnerable to that if they can't drop out of the sky quick enough. It's like Maimone going to be sensing that might be happening. Take to some of the low ground, catches BAME 1 out as well. Already, it looks like we're seeing the side of OTPog try to get onto the high ground. The amplification field coming out right with the tac visor, able to throw down that increased damage. Verbo not able to survive, trying to hide it out, but cannot find the success there. Retziok going to be helping their team out with that amplification matrix and tac visor, securing that second points victory.
Good engagements from OTPog. They're going to have a lot of time remaining in case it goes to another round. And they're looking pretty good. 3 minutes, 39 seconds remaining for them now. Very curious to hear what VASTA Gaming is going to do. They have to adapt. They weren't looking too strong on the defense, but they might be better on the attacking side. And that's exactly what we saw from them before. That's how they were able to win that control map. Just those engagements were looking really, really good. And that's what's benefiting both of the teams, actually. But here in Hanamura, whoever is able to defend first should be the one benefited if you're able to hold it for a little bit longer. But now it just puts more pressure when you're not able to do so. So that's where we start seeing the difference once again coming through. And the composition will also be a key part. We saw Snappy just for a few seconds on Zenyatta, but it was way too late to make that change. And that just enabled not to get Transcendence to stay alive. It didn't allow that to happen. And there was absolutely nothing they could do against the aggression that OTPog was putting on them. And it seems like for the side of the defense now in OTPog, they're going to play something very, very similar. Infin is going to be on the Baptiste, Quarter is going to be on that break. That should be enough to hold the defense to keep everyone alive and just forcing to build those ultimate abilities to win.
Well, we're going to see exactly how those ultimate abilities come into play. I mentioned it before. Retziok on that soldier can put down such a threat on the flying targets. Maimone not going to be on the Echo, but still on the Pharah. Very vulnerable. No, in fact, it's going to be the Mei coming out. I like the option of the Mei able to restrict a lot of those lines of sights as well, just able to instantly shut down the turret with the ice wall if necessary. And now we're going to be seeing OTPog get a little bit swarm here. Maimone able to get an early kill onto Caillou. It's going to be a great opportunity here as well. The Mei going to be able to lock down that wrecking ball. Not quite able to get away is BAME 1, but the immortality field there to keep them alive. Some excellent reads coming through from Invin to keep their team on the board, although already the second tick being achieved on this first point for VASTA. Again, the freeze going on to BAME 1, no immortality to save them out this time, but the maneuverance almost helps them out. VASTA nestled in on this point like they're the defending team right about now, and they're going to get that first point even faster than their opponents.
Exactly what we expected from the side of VASTA. They're really good at attacking, and it was just an unfortunate situation if you're the wrecking ball from OTPog, because you see those turrets, the sentry turrets, melting you, and then you see the Waimane is just also just freezing you, and there's absolutely no mobility that you can do. You can't really run around the point like you're used to seeing those wrecking balls do. So now a lot of pressure. Snappy does have that coalescence to engage. Robo's about to have a sound barrier. This should be enough for them to win here if they want to.
Very important, that proton barrier going to be coming through, limiting a lot of the damage that Retziok and Caillou can do. As we see now, the pin trying to come through, lands on the Fifilek, not able to use a breather if you're just pushed right into the wall, literally knocking the wind out of you in an appropriate fashion. The proton barrier going to be coming out, mitigating the tactical visor coming in from Retziok, an excellent read coming in from Cage. Maimone trying to use those icicles to some great effect, build up the blizzard as well if they're able to. The sound barrier from Verbo going to be keeping this fight alive as much as possible. Our shatter from Julo not going to be landing on too much, but does push the point back into Vasta's favor. And already Cage trying to get the clean with that high ramped up damage on the Symmetra, able to burn down BAME 1. And you see the turrets going up. This is looking great for VASTA so far. They might just set a better time here, but the contests coming in from Caillou trying their best. The Doomfist as well, the emergency locks, trying to just buy as much time as possible. The immortality field to keep the team alive in any situation. The amplification window coming out from Invin as well. Babe1 now able to get back into the fray, but there's only so much a Wrecking Ball can do, especially on a flat point such as this. Not a whole lot to grapple onto directly onto point, but either way, it will be cleared up. Looking to get ticked up, and with that, VASTA Gaming set a very good time for themselves.
2 minutes 52, really good timing. Like you said, that snowball potential coming through here in Hanamura, looking really good for this out of VASTA. A good attack, but now the same thing is going to happen. The risk is going to be trying to defend that first. None of the teams so far have had a really good defense into that first point. They try to hold it for a little bit longer into second, and it looks good. It's not good enough, but it looks like it's able to stabilize better if they are able to use the ultimate economy. Now, for first point, if you're able to do this, that would pretty much give you the victory that will give you the confidence that it's possible to have a better attack. And the compositions, I believe, are very strong. There are a few differences that we've seen between them, like Hadju getting taken down right at the beginning. And this just happened because for the side of VASTA, they were able to teleport into point, and there were some really good May walls from the side of Wimone that enabled them to do this. It seems like this is not what they're going for, especially on the defense. They're going to play that standard, having that Echo flying in the air, trying to put some damage more. And for OTPog, they're just going for the same standard composition, which is really good, but they don't have a lot of speed. The best opportunity that they have is the same thing that they did before, which is putting pressure into point through Wrecking Ball. And if VASTA catches up to this, they might get countered.
We'll see exactly how it happens. Nipahog on this Diva. No Sigma this time around, interestingly enough. They may want to mitigate Caillou on that Torbjorn, try to reduce the effectiveness that projectile hero can have. It's going to be Julo trying to get a pile driver in, but it looks like they didn't quite land the grappling hook as they needed. However, Maimone still going to be working with them to put that damage down. And already, we're seeing the displacement try to come in from VASTA Gaming as well. Cluster bombs trying to come in. Nipahog getting taken out of mech early on is not a spot you want to be in. And that Diva not going to be able to mitigate too much damage when she's dead. You now see Caillou just firing away with that rivet gun, getting brought dangerously low by Cage, but Cage not able to close the deal this time around. And once again, OTPog able to get nestled right onto point. They do have a few more kills to make it look less frivolous than last time on the end of VASTA, but still, first push, and they're able to get that point flipped.
They should be able to get this whole point, and now they'll be pushing forward. 1 minute 30 seconds remaining for them to get to second. They have to finish building this ultimate abilities. They're looking pretty close to having that rally, to having that molten core, and that should be enough for them to try to get a few picks. But in the meantime, Cage does have to pull them, so if he's able to land it into one of the supports, into Invin ideally, that should be enough.
And Julo goes down early, as does Maimone. Redziak gonna be taken down in a similar fashion, but the damage already being done to the opponents in VASTA Gaming. Transcendence being forced out snap, not able to heal up Nipahog, and Nipahog once again getting taken out of that form. It's gonna be Caillou trying to make some separation happen with that molten core. As we see it now, it's looking like OTPog gonna be a little bit more successful this time around. The whole hog getting pulled out. Fifilek able to tear down Maimone, and this time it just does not seem like VASTA has it in their pocket. Nipahog trying to go for the stall with the Diva, but can't quite deliver.
They actually get it with time remaining, which is not something that we expect on round 3, but that was a really good engagement from them, knowing that they didn't have as much time and they wanted to make it work. Really good job, especially when we saw the hog going into the high ground, not really enabling that soldier to get any value, to get more picks. That's what allowed them to happen and to just get the value that they wanted to. 4 points in the meantime for OTPog, and more pressure that VASTA Gaming is going to have. They had a really good attack. They actually had more time, but they have to do it again. And if they use that teleporter and the May, this is something that OTPog might be expecting here into the 4th round to see if they can make it work. It's just not going to be easy for them to pull the same strategy again. And if that's something that they practice, they practice it to get into the 1st round. They don't really practice it to get it into the 4th round. So more pressure to them that we have to see. They have to make the changes maybe, and if they want to run the same strategy, just make sure that it happens as soon as possible before OTPog is able to react.
Yeah, a definitely effective set play that kind of comes through for the side of Vasta, but it definitely relies a little bit on the element of surprise, the element of catching your opponent off guard. Not sure if that's necessarily going to be the case with OTPog this time around, although maybe it's a double fake. Maybe OTPog might now be a little bit more backed up and Vasta ready to push forward with a little bit more of a traditional comp. We do see Cage on that Hanzo, so I use traditional in, I guess, the loosest sense of the term. Although some high burst potential here coming in with these arrows. See if they can find anything. The sonar getting sent out doesn't reveal a whole lot of information, but going to be Cage able to see where the opponents are either way by hopping onto that high ground. Ooh. Early on, Redziok taken down. Cage going to be the one to get the opening kill this time around. That high soldier threat getting dealt with early on is very instrumental. Already can see Caillou rushing to defend that point from afar with Torbjorn Rivet Gun. No damage fall off gives them a huge benefit there. I'm going to try to do some damage to the turret, but not quite able to find it. The hook from Fifilek goes out, doesn't land onto Maimone as it needs to, and a lot of damage going on to Redziok, and Maimone not quite able to get out. Fifilek catches them with Quater, that stun, locking down the Echo, and so far, it looks like the push to point hasn't been made from Vasta. They're getting a couple kills, but they're not getting as aggressive with it as we've seen. Fifilek missing a hook, getting hit by the Accretion Rock, saving that breather, however, wisely until after the fact so they can use it to recover that lost health. Cage, however, getting the nano, gonna help them build up towards that ultimate, and now they're gonna have it for this second point, provided there's no more contest.
After a little bit of struggle, they're able to get this. Now they just have to take the Wrecking Ball. There you go. And just like that, they should be able to get into second point, but the same thing is going to happen. That's a lot of pressure that's going to be put into. They do have the ultimates to try to take the advantage, but it's not going to be easy. They have to play just as aggressive as OTPog did if they also want to have some time remaining for themselves. And only 1 minute 45 seconds again. So it just has to happen in the high ground. They have to take the high ground fight. And just like that, they should be able to jump into point and get a third checkpoint.
This is a little bit baffling. We actually see Invin switching onto the Ana, negating that immortality field that can absolutely save the defenders if that Dragons comes out big. Cage throwing them in. Does end up finding Vame one on that high ground. Nipahog very close to building up the Gravitic Flux of their own. 6% away, just needs to land a few of those orbs. Builds a little bit of space with the Accretion Rock going through. Maimone now looking to give a little bit of damage on their own. The Turbocharger is going to come out from Julo, just trying to increase the reserves of their team. Get that enforcement coming through here. The Tracer trying to buy some time, but Redziok not able to buy enough as it turns out. The Pulse Bomb onto Fifilek, not going to be able to do as much as the Breather does come online. Mitigates a lot of damage now. It's Caillou on this Doomfist trying to play, but the backup comes in from the side of Vasta Gaming. They're able to build up 44%, but it's not quite enough.
Very unfortunate situation for them because Nappy gets taken down and not having your Ana to help you keep up is so hard, especially when you're on the attacking side. No, everyone for the side of the defenders is able to regroup. OTPog looking pretty good. They just have to make sure they stay alive for 30 more seconds. That should be enough for them to win. Nipahog with the initiation on the Flux is the only opportunity. They invested a lot in the last fight and it wasn't enough for them to get to those third points.
Redziok gonna be seeing the sniper and perhaps meeting to a sniper duel here. Going on to the Widowmaker, trying to get that long range damage. And Fifilek getting very aggressive with this hog, and based off of the hook percentage we've been seeing, no surprise there. Maimone captures the Brig, notices the Brig a little bit weaker, so tries to capitalize upon it. But now the kills coming through for Vasta. Fifilek throwing in the whole hog from above, causing a lot of damage. Julo and Cage both falling to it. Maimone not going to be taking a sleep dart this time around, but it looks like Vasta already suffering for manpower on the point. Somebody's got to get it in there and touch. Overtime slowly starts to burn down, and with that, OTPog will be taking Hanamura.
OTPog will be taking the advantage now. They did a really good job here in Hanamura, and this just gives us an insight of how good they are at defending and holding. They were struggling a little bit more at the beginning, but once they got the hang of it against Vasta Gaming, there was absolutely nothing they could do. We were talking about how Vasta was good when they were attacking. They did it really fast, but unfortunately, it just wasn't quite enough. They were struggling, but overall, I think it was a very even match. So I'm excited to see if we can see Vasta Gaming also coming up on top for the next map. We know it's already Iconwald. So what they can do different there, they won that first map, so they should be able to take control of the point, move the payload forward, but we haven't seen much action besides that here in Iconwald.
And we'll see exactly how that shakes up as we look towards Eichswald. However, we will be looking at it from the other side of a break. So stay tuned, folks. OTPog leads 2-1. Don't catch this potentially last game. Welcome back, folks. I know I'm feeling very refreshed after that break. I hope you're feeling refreshed as well, friends. But Dryad, to recap what we just saw for the last 3 games, OTPog up 2-1 over VASTA. We were kind of talking about it. A little bit surprising considering that OTPog's been running a little bit of an unconventional composition compared to what we've been seeing prior to this.
And they're making it work somehow. This is really, really good, but we have to recognize the matches have been really close so far. And I think Vasta Gaming, if they're able to figure out how to counter the weird composition that OTPog is playing, they might be able to make the comeback they here in Iconwall in a 2-2. It is possible once again, but there's a lot of micro things that are going on throughout the matches just because it's such a different composition from one another that is what is really affecting the enemy team. For Vasta, they were doing a really good job in Hanamura, but it just wasn't quite enough. They had more time, they had a really good attack, but then they started losing members. But at the end, that's all they needed. They just needed to stay alive. So now I'm very excited to see what they have to bring here in Iconwall, where you have to take control of the point and then be able to push a payload as far as you can, ideally to that 3rd checkpoint. So a lot of different compositions that you can play with this. We've seen Brawl, we've seen a dive, taking control of the high ground that we've talked about how important it is, and so many possibilities for these 2 teams. Overall, I think OTPog is going to keep running those weird compositions that have made it work.
Yeah, so far I was a little hesitant on the Torbjorn, but it seems like they were able to provide some great value for themselves with it. As well, Cage on this Hanzo, as we see coming out on the defense. I didn't expect it to be as effective, but I mean, instantly out of Hanamura, we saw like the headshot, I believe, was onto Redziak, and immediately from there, it was Vasta trying to just rush themselves onto point. So overall, some interesting compositions coming out that I'm looking forward to seeing.
Definitely, and we already see for the side of the defense what they're going to be running. They're going to be having that double shield, which I really, really like here in Iconwall, where you're going to have the protection from your Isa. You're also going to have the ultimate ability that we know is so strong. And also Sigma to be on the up angle, trying to get more value along with the DPS lineup should be a really, really good matchup here. And now we also look for the attackers. Aimfam is going to also be putting more pressure with the Wrecking Ball.
As we see BAME rolling around, trying to get into those backlines, take that high ground as possible. And Caillou going to be throwing that turret up in an off location, making it more difficult for the side of Vasta to peek these angles. BAME being dangerously low, but not taken down, not low enough as it turns out. OTPog still looking good for this fight so far. They're slowly making their way towards point. Not as aggressive of a push as we saw on Hanamura. Maybe actually receiving an anti-nade for their troubles, and now the kills start flowing for the side of Vasta as Amone uses that focusing beam to take them down. Now taking to the skies, tries to focus on Equator, but Julo just has the focus already there. Bifalek, however, able to get some exit kills onto Maimone. No res as Burbo just got cage.
Vasta doing a really good so far. Their res does come through, so they will be able to stay alive for a little bit longer on this defense. Now, this just have to keep doing the same. The ultimate abilities are going to be a huge difference. Cage once again gets Red's not the first time that we see this happening.
Cage, again, yeah, you're absolutely right. Not the first time we're seeing it happen. The Dragon's already online for Cage. Should they decide they need to use them in this tight spot. Although BAME 1 getting taken out on exit means that Vasta going to be pretty comfortable not investing any more ults into this.
They will be having a lot to work with as well into the next fight. 2 minutes, 25 seconds remaining for the setup OTPog, so they are looking pretty comfortable. Now they just have to figure out the best way to engage because they keep getting picked by Cage here on the choke, and that is what is putting so much pressure into them, especially when they don't have a shield.
Oh, and exactly as you said it, Caillou gets taken down and their turret as well, my pretties. As we see now, Vasta continues to try to just hold this angle, not really taking too much aggression here as they know that the time bank's already going to be burned down even more.
We're in a point where I'd like to see Kadri playing something else over there than Torbjorn. This doesn't seem to be ideal, but they're going to be pushing forward. Also, the defense is ready to hold here.
As we see the Wrecking Ball trying to get onto point, BAME putting some pressure in there. Maimone breaking out the duplicate, but taken out because the minefields almost as quickly. We are seeing a lot of interactions go here, but no kills too strictly on either side since those initial onto the Torbjorn. Redziak trying to harass that Ana, just not quite able to lock on as they need to. Bifalek takes down Julo, and now no main tank means no shielding. Redziak able to tear a little bit of a swath through the opponents. It's going to be BAME 1 caught out inside the small inn. As now the rest of VASTA is as well. They need to try to get onto point, get some contests going. They don't want a repeat of Hanamura, a little bit delayed, but that's kind of exactly what's going to happen as nobody's able to touch. It's just going to be the cleanup onto the Hanzo, onto the Mercy, onto the Ana with the hammer. A little bit of the disrespect.
And the Torbjorn feeling confident. I was talking about how we'd like to see him something else, but he's definitely getting value out of it. They still have a lot of time to push forward. They're looking very comfortable for the side of the defense. And VASTA, they were really struggling when they went into the house. It just puts more pressure into them. It's really hard to get out without getting picked. And once again, they didn't have those shields to support them to keep them alive, unfortunately. So now they're going to have the advantage at least to try to take it higher and try to get some value. They depend on Cage getting those picks so they can win here.
Redziak initially going to get the pick onto Cage, so that Hanzo not going to be able to deliver as is necessary. Snappa throwing in the nano boost to try to shake things up, but nothing on the defensive end is going to get shaken up except maybe the spawn room as everybody gets sent back there.
They do use the nano and not looking too good for the side of the defense. They have to figure out another strategy. They have their right initiation, but they start getting picked over and over again. We were talking about Cage, and he gets taken down immediately. This is one last opportunity to try to recontest before losing the second point.
Oblivione trying to go in through the window as well, provide some of that high ground damage. We are seeing Oblivione go in as the Wrecking Ball, trying to build up a quick minefield of their own, but getting focused out, burned down, not able to drop the minefield as necessary. And now OTPog starting to run away with Eichenwald. It's going to have to be on the VASTA to hold third.
A lot of time remaining for them, and this is a very scary situation. If you're on the side of VASTA, if you're a fan of VASTA, you want them to hold this, you want them to take the victory here, but it's not going to be easy. They do have the ultimate economy, but a few changes had to be made. We're going to be seeing the Ashe, one of the heroes that we haven't seen too much recently, but if KG is able to get a few picks with it, it just might be enough, especially with the help of Bearable doing that damage also coming through.
The Immortality Field gonna get forced out just to try to keep Fifilek up. Not quite necessary though, as Fifilek still had quite a bit of health in the pool. Snappa taking down Redziak means that Tracer not gonna be the pest. No distraction into the back lines for the side of VASTA. They're gonna push forward knowing that information, try to get some damage onto this Roadhog. A little bit of ult charge never hurt nobody.
Definitely, and they still have more time, so they just have to make sure that every single engagement is going to be good for them. They can get at least 2 fights here, but it's not going to be easy. They want a full fight where they're able to win over and over again. Niflhub can have the initiation very early on with the Flux, but it's not going to be easy. Once again, we do see it coming through now.
We are going to be seeing the Flux come through. Niflhub not able to land a whole lot of damage. Believe they got stunned out of that one. As now we see the Dynamites coming in from Cage, trying to build up towards that Bob. That ultimate so very crucial. And Infant getting taken down right as the amplification field comes out. Cage receiving a nano boost, but gonna get burned down with a headshot and the hook coming in right onto them. Not gonna be able to use that to any benefit. Now as Fifilek leans in with the whole hog, able to take down 2. Takes a quick nap, but they're not gonna be too bothered by that as the damage has already been done. OTPog got that cart right up to the point, basically kissing it on the mouth. As now they continue to push up. It's just a matter of getting the last few kills. The Wrecking Ball trying to get in there, do a little bit of disruption, but Julo not going to be long for this world, especially with all this damage. And with Bob now coming in to contest onto the point, Cage might be looking to change things up. Not going to be finding it, however. The Rez now trying to come through. VASTA just trying to tag in and out as they can to get any sort of damage.
And it doesn't seem like it's going to be enough, but they want to delay it as soon as possible. The Wrecking Ball over and over again, but the Molten Core is going to put a challenge now.
And the Molten Core certainly is going to be the challenge, but not as challenging as that turret. Takes down 2, ensures that the side of OTPog is going to be clearing the third point.
1 minute 17 seconds remaining for OTPog, and Kisses goes to another round. Which, seeing the performance that VASTA has on the attack is very, very likely. Now, I'm just curious to see what they have to bring to the table when they're attacking here in Eichenwald. They have really good initiations. I think it is very possible for them to even try the same thing that we saw on Hanamura, where they're going to teleport. They're also having the Mei wall that is going to enable them to play a little bit more aggressive and to get at least 2 ticks or they're going to have the confidence that they can make this through. But there are so many possibilities. Out of these two teams, it seems like VASTA is the one that's the most flexible. And if they're able to just make the adaptation changes very early on, that just might be enough, because we did see the Ashe at the end, but it was unfortunately a little bit too late, and the Bob got taken down immediately. Just more pressure. Snappy, we are getting the possibility of seeing this player into playing more of that damage for the support line, which will allow them also to push forward. But I really just want to see them having that early initiation, getting value out of it right away, indirectly countering that Roadhog that keeps getting value from the side of OTPog.
Yeah, I feel like it has been getting a massive amount of value throughout this entire series. It feels like their chain hooks just being too strong right about now. But we'll see exactly how that opts for them on the defense as the gates now do open. See the team of VASTA Gaming pushing up, slowly inching their way. BAME1 ready to come in from the wings, perhaps do a little bit of scouting, gets caught out by the sonar arrows of Maimone. And already, VASTA making a brisk walk through the initial choke. It's going to be Retziak waiting and creeping around in the back. The boop almost comes through from BAME1, but Retziak gets caught out by a body shot from Cage. A great opening for VASTA. Again, that Tracer not being a problem. The Brig not being a problem. No stuns to deal with, but just as quick as I say that, the kills are equalized. The turret going to be back up onto the field, force a little bit of attention from Cage. Dynamite trying to come through, dislocate that Torbjorn out of that safety in the Immortality field. Only so much you can do. Fifilek does take down Verbo, and although it looked good for them to start, it looks like OTPog is going to stabilize. It's not going to go VASTA's way.
Once again, it was a very good initiation, and Cage was able to get those 2 picks on Ashe, but now they have to do it again. They weren't even able to get 1 tick, so more pressure to them. And the biggest challenge that they're going to have is that Invent does have the amplification matrix that even when they don't get any kill, it just pushes everyone back because there's so much damage coming through that they'd rather wait, which is the last thing that you want if you're attacking. You want to have as much time as possible.
As we see time already being a factor here, 1 minute and 20 burnt off the clock. Cage takes down Kaiu's turret rather early on, and then Quater goes down again. Maimone able to find those kills, but we'll see if the Brig being out of the fight means anything. Once again, that rally so very far from being built up. Nipalek gonna be on the flank here, going in for the Hog, but the quick snap from Nipahog protects their teammate with that quick shield coming in from Sigma. Now Nipalek kind of put in a little bit of a corner here in an uncomfortable position. Nipalek has to be very careful as they walk right into Maimone's arrows as well as Bob's shot. Kaiu taking down 2 with a Molten Core, not gonna be enough.
But just as that fight was going on between the tanks, in the meantime, in the point, there was a real fight going on where they were able to get value. VASTA will be pushing forward. They're able to get the point. Now they do have the ultimate economy to also get value, to pass this corner, to also take a high ground. So many opportunities for them. Real challenge will be coming through once we see if Retio is able to get one of the post bombs that's going to delay them a little bit more. But overall, this should be going for the side of VASTA.
As we see VASTA looking to lean in with this attack. They do have quite a few ultimates in their pocket, as do their opponents. The minefield's going to be coming out. Kaiu taken down early. Maimone getting hit by the pile driver, but the mines are the least of their concerns as Fifilek lands the chain and blasts away once again. Turbocharger coming out from Julo, but it's looking like the capitalization is not quite there from VASTA. The hook right onto the Orisa puts them right back into the corner. Fifilek actually getting interrupted during that take a breather means it's just going to be the supports who have to keep them alive. Fifilek, however, doing a good job of maintaining those health pools. Not quite able to see a whole lot of damage come through just yet, aside from those initial kills. But BAME1 going to be ready to swipe in from the side. Tries to displace, trying to spin to win right about now. Nipahog going to be using a little bit of a boost to get the Gravitic Flux going. Doesn't feel as much damage as they may have preferred. So far, OTPog doing a great job at buying off a lot of time, and Retziak now going to be creeping around on this Tracer, ready to throw in that massive damage coming in. Fifilek, however, going to be the true closer here.
And they cleaned up this fight. OTPog actually coming up on top, and it was a very risky play, but they were able to get value out of it. Like you mentioned, for the side of Roadhog, he was playing very aggressive. He almost got punished for it, but I was able to get away just hiding behind the payload for a little bit longer. They still have a little time, though, for VASTA giving 2 minutes, 45 seconds remaining. They just have to make something happen. If they're able to throw Bob into pushing forward, that should be enough for them to try to move this payload forward. Exactly what they need right now, especially knowing that the amount of ultimates that they used before.
Inven gonna be dropping the amplification field, and off the back of a pile driver taking down Cage with that Ashe, so Bob no longer a concern. Sigma no longer a concern. BAME1 again continues to creep around behind the side of VASTA. And VASTA, so far, just lets BAME1 get this disruption. They don't seem to be keeping their heads on as strong a swivel as they need. Kaju going to be getting 2 exit kills with that Molten Core. Long-range hook, it sounded like, but it was perhaps broken by some geometry going through there. And Julo going to be able to try to retreat, but Maimane might not be so lucky.
Evan once again has been the unsung hero so far this side of OTPog. Not much time left, but still enough to have a few fights going for the side of the attackers. They just have to make something work. Verbal is going into that matchup against Envin, trying to get the value out of Baptiste, but it hasn't been easy so far. They do have the ultimate economy to push forward. They have to make sure they're not getting picked, which is exactly what's happening when you look at how Kadu has been playing, just playing it very slowly, pushes everyone to the turret and distracts them while we can see the Roadhog getting value out of these abilities.
We do see this time VASTA catch out BAME1 with that halt, able to lock down. Now the amplification field are going to be coming through, trying to deal increased damage as the side of VASTA, but can only do so much in so little time as the turbocharger does come out in again to try to increase that damage, try to create more threat. It's going to be the DPS trying to hold out actually from the attacker spawn side. It's the shots from Cage do land onto Retziak, so able to take down that Tracer, but now the stall is going to be coming out from the Wrecking Ball. BAME1 able to get just that consistent stall, that consistent time burn off the clock. And with this, it's causing a lot of focus to have to be distracted from VASTA. Although the cart does continue to move, the question is how much longer does it move for?
And they had to get some early picks to make something happen here, and they don't have much time left. 40 seconds remaining for the side of VASTA Gaming. They use a lot of ultimates there, and it was enough to push, but will it be enough now?
And Fifilek gonna be using that whole hog just to knock Julo off of that high ground. Verbo quick to follow, and OTPog managed to secure this, and we're looking at last fight territory.
Definitely, there's not much time left, and once again, VASTA is definitely struggling here to try to get value that they need to. They have made changes over and over again, but it doesn't seem to be quite enough. Cage is the one usually initiating with those picks, but after that, OTPog knows exactly how to capitalize out of it, especially taking into account that Sergio is playing into this Widowmaker, which also takes a lot of space from them.
And a nanoed Fifilek not going to be making space any more comfortable as they continue to push in and put the threat onto VASTA. OTPog going to be taking it without even the contest coming through from their opponents.
And he was overall a really, really good engagement from the defense, what gave him the victory there. When we see that even when the attackers are supposed to play more aggressive, they didn't really know how to make the engagement work. And the best opportunity that they had, it was once again just Cage into that Ashe. And it happened a few times, but it wasn't quite enough. Kaju, once again, did an amazing job on the top lane. We do have to recognize that the Molten Core, getting the supports into one of the fights and then doing it again, is not something that is as easy because teams can prepare for it before. You can shield it, you can make sure that you're able to stay alive. But in this case, it was a really good performance from beginning to end. They knew how to make the initial engagement, and that's how they won here.
That certainly seems to be the case. Quite a dominant performance, increasing in effectiveness as OTPog continued throughout these games. Overall, very pleased with the way that we saw this performance happening. However, the performance not quite done yet. The scores have been put in the books. However, before we end our broadcast day, we do have a little bit of an interview coming in here in just a little bit. So stick around, folks. Welcome back, folks. Now, as we decompress from that exciting match, we come back into it with an interview. BAME1, Fam1, who, since we're friends, since I personally am friends with them, they are allowing me to call them Vincent. So, Vincent, welcome. Congratulations on your victory.
Thank you.
Now, I want to ask, the compositions we saw from both your team and the opposing teams, not necessarily exactly what we've been seeing from, I guess, from the meta so far. Why are you guys a little bit more comfortable playing what might be considered a little bit more off meta?
Yeah, so like basically we're all OTPs, or almost OTPs, and only like Red Chuck isn't full OTP, so we mainly just play one hero, and yeah, we've been doing pretty well with it, I think.
I mean, hey, if it works out, then that's all that you can expect. So, yeah, congrats on your win, and I do want to ask you on the topic. So, how is the preparation where you're going against other teams when you're in scrims, and maybe they are playing that standard composition that you expect now, a lot of that Wrecking Ball Diva, Wrecking Ball Sigma, and you guys may be playing something different, especially in the DPS lineup. So, how does that work? Do you ever feel forced to go into what's meta?
Like sometimes when we don't scrim a lot, first of all, but sometimes we just like play random stuff. It doesn't work what we usually play, and yeah, it's rare that it works out, but if we feel like we can't get value on our normal heroes, we just play something random.
Okay, I mean, once again, it works out, so that's all that you can expect from these matches. And what is maybe one match here in trials that you're a little bit more scared of, that you want to prepare more for, or one of the teams that look the strongest to you?
I think Oblivione is definitely the strongest team in our group, so I think we're just gonna play against them.
Yeah, and okay, I have one last question for you in regards to that. So we've seen, depending on what every team has decided to play, everyone is still kind of forcing what they're comfortable with, which is also your case, where we've seen certain, we've seen Genji, we've seen Roadhog. Do you think this is a possibility to just make sure that you can also twist the meta around you when other teams see that is working for you?
I don't know. I think Sen is still really, really strong, and definitely when the next patch comes, Brick Sen is gonna be really strong because Brick is overpowered again. But I don't think people are gonna play Hog and Ball in this patch because Sigma is just usually better instead of either of those.
Well, we'll see exactly how that shapes up as we look towards the horizons. But Vincent, thank you once again for coming in here, answering a few of our questions. We greatly appreciate it, and I'd like to give you the opportunity to give any shout-outs you feel are necessary to anybody.
Thank you to my whole team. Like, I think they played really well, all of them. And thank you to the people who is not playing, but Swim, Byaku, Obi, Sama, you know who you are.
Well, fantastic. Once again, thank you, Vincent. Congratulations on your win over VASTA Gaming, and we wish you the best of luck throughout the rest of Trials.
Thank you.
And with that, Dryad, we are just about ready to wrap things up here for the final time tonight. So from all of us here at Monkey Bubble, we want to thank you guys for tuning in, supporting some Contenders Trials. Always a good time. On behalf of Dryad and myself, you can catch us on our Twitter handles, Dan Dryad and Sir Waltham. We hope to see you guys next time, but until then, stay safe and take care, everybody.